Councilman?
Eric,
How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Hello.
Hello?
Okay.
Good, thank you. How are you?
A little tired.
Tired from working?
Yeah, I'm ready to retire.
What's that construction
What's
work
the,
you doing?
Good
evening, sir.
Huh? That helmet, that's right. That hard head?
Yeah.
I got a purple one.
Purple helmet? I had a green one once. It never fit me right.
No way. You have to do it.
I always thought,
Of course, yeah.
What are we doing, Christine?
you can tell by the number of people, this isn't going to be a short meeting.
No, because we'll know soon. Because we're reviewing the agenda review. This time, who's Pat? We're on there. Thank you. What am I doing? How's the baby, Eric?
Growing?
No,
Driving your car before you know it. Or we could just play them from...
Call order Minneola City Council with all rise for a moment of silence and Vice Mayor to lead us in the pledge.
of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda review, Pam.
if I could move item, 14, I believe it is. Yes, if I could move item 14 to item 9.
Thought it was you want to move it or table it?
No, actually,
I want to table it.
Huh?
I'd like to table it.
yeah, we can table that to the next meeting.
Is that okay?
For the next month, I'm sorry.
Item 12 and 14.
You like 12 and 14 to be tabled? You think, Mark?
So item 12 and 14 to be tabled?
Yeah, I think I don't mind tabling 12, but Scott, Eric, what is, for this, how is this working? Are you meeting with it? Can you just explain to me how the process is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I reviewed all the submittals that were submitted to me by Mark, the top 9, I believe. There are some that stand out, particularly one that I think meets our criteria. I'll be more happy to speak to on my due diligence of what I researched, not researched, but what I
I just want to make sure that we go through that every
proper motions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Scott, so how do we going to do this? Does he meet with them individually every next month and with them recommendations, or we go with staff's recommendations, or how do we do this?
Well, I know that,
I just want to
I know that there's been some staff ranking sheets. Certainly, probably would not be. Typically, it's not the council that would meet with them, but staff can meet with them. And then, if you want, you can certainly have the folks come to the next meeting, at least the ones you've shortlisted or wish to hear from. At the next meeting, but I can speak with Eric further as far as his involvement with them in the meantime.
Yeah, and absolutely, Scott. Again, I think all 9 have everything you need to bring to the table. However, what's unique for the city, I was able to bring it down to about 2 of them, and out of those 2, I have my recommendation. However, I don't want to influence the vote of the council, so
Yes.
I doubt,
16th meeting?
No, to the first one in October. Unfortunately, will not be available
Okay.
the second meeting of September due to a work commitment.
So item 12 and 14 to the first meeting in October.
Yes, October 7th.
Joe, you okay with moving this?
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to move 12 and 14 to the first meeting in September, please?
I'll make that motion to move item 12.
Sorry, 1st October, sorry.
Sorry. I'll make that motion to move item 12 and 14 to the October 7th meeting.
Okay, the motion, can I get a second?
I'll second.
A first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was moved.
Thank you for whoever came out this evening for those two items. Again, thank you for coming out, and we'll see you in October.
Before we get Brad, I did get just a message from someone watching the live feed that it seems like the microphone is very static. Is there something we can look into? No, that was it.
You get some glasses? I did. Thank you. You and Shadow run for the money.
Aye.
Those are my good ones.
Okay.
Pretty good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Other than that, everything else looks good.
I'm good, thank you.
Christine? Are you good? Public comment. This is the time that the inmate of the audience want to get up and speak on anything that's not on the agenda tonight. Please come forth.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Good evening.
There was a Lake County legislative delegation last week in Prairies, and I attended, and it was very interesting. SB 180 was a very, very hot topic. Representative Gentry from District 27, he's pushing in the next legislative session to repeal certain sections that were slid in there erroneously into our detriment. Several attendees spoke to repeal this bill. First off was Chairman Leslie Campione of the Lake County Board of Commissioners, and then three cities, City of Mount Dora, who also spoke against the Vote Local Act, City of Groveland, Planning and Zoning, and City of Eustis, and then three citizens, just constituents, spoke against it. So I thought that was interesting. Another item that could impact some city budgets came from Senator Trunow. He mentioned in his remarks that he's planning a resolution to be on the 2026 ballot for an exemption for agricultural producers for an exemption on tangible personal property, which I thought was odd. So I'd just like to bring that to your attention. Three local bills, Yarkowski, Representative Yarkowski said they're pushing through a bill to eliminate the North Lake Hospital tax by putting this on the ballot. And Trudeau stated there would be a proposal on how they would handle the indigent community in North Lake, how that will be.
Product specified for the library from 10 different manufacturers, and they're all starting to land in our Orlando warehouse. The shelving being the biggest part of the project is what is delayed. It was scheduled for September the 12th, and they want to delay that a week or two past that, closer to the end of September, to finish things up. There's internal problems at the factory that they're behind on the summer rush that they have every year. So
So, sorry to interrupt. You said they have a summer rush, but then why is our project being put to the bottom of the list?
it's not. They are shipping now orders that were supposed to ship in July. And so they're that far behind. So I've got, I spoke with Mark for the first time this afternoon, and I'll have conversations with the factory in the morning. I've got some other ideas about possibly trading production time with other folks that may not need or may have a construction delay or something like that. But all these orders are lined up in a production line based on the weight and how long it takes to produce this. And
your agreement that you have with the shelving company, is there any financial compensation? Should there any delays be expected, like we're seeing now?
no, that would be our responsibility. Our contract is with the city of Minneola, so whatever needs to happen, we would take care of that. So we're gonna we're gonna work towards, having the library substantially complete before the end of September. Pulling whatever together we need to pull together, but I can make that happen. My concern is that it will not be 100% complete, and if it's not, then what happens with the collection? And the idea of trying to open with a partial collection over there, or partial shelving, or things like that. So I need to make some calls and do some inquiry in the morning.
So I got a question to ask this. If this lag has been happening, then being in the industry, you should have known about that. If it's a 9-day lag, but then they were lagging since June, it looks like you would have known proactively to order it even sooner, instead of 90 days out, ordering it 120 days out to cover that difference, to cover that. Because it seems like this has been ongoing, so I'm confused on why you weren't aware of that and ordered more proactively.
This was ordered the 1st of May, and the purchase order that we received from the city was on the 31st of March. So to have it targeted for August, that's when we would have ordered it to be in line for production over the summertime.
So when were the purchase orders put in for this stuff that was delivered in July?
The same time. The furniture itself, the tables and chairs, and the other odds and ends like that.
It needs to be open, it needs to have shelving, and Mark, can you handle this tomorrow? You can talk to who we spoke to on the phone. If you've got to go with another vendor, go with another vendor. I don't care. It's not my problem, just like the doors.
Okay.
The library needs to open.
To me, Mark, it just seems like, thank you for your time, we
Sure,
appreciate it.
sure.
It seems like we're becoming the city of 80%. By that, I mean,
Exactly.
we have all these projects done 80% of the way, and we forget about the last 20. We need to be the city of 100%, not the city of 80%. I don't want to have 5 projects 80% of the way done. I'd rather have 3 projects 100% of the way done, completed. So we need to start, and I've been asking this since I started doing these project updates months ago, but yet we keep running on the same hamster wheel over and over. So I'm willing to say, on behalf of council, please correct me if I'm wrong, if you start seeing this slippage, you do whatever it takes. Don't wait until the next council meeting to get the job done. If you want to send an email letting us know what you're going to do, it's perfectly fine, but just do it. Let's take old Nike slogan, just do it.
It's getting absurd, because I think at this point in time, our project management team here, they just know, oh, well, it's just Minneola. They don't mind waiting. We'll let everybody else go. Damn, you haven't got to landscaping at City Hall yet, so
Oh, that's your favorite topic, that's later on.
I'm waiting for that. And I wish it was 80%, but let's keep going.
All right.
Besides that, the library, I walked there today. It does look nice.
It looks great, 80%
does.
of the way,
Yeah.
no doubt.
We
It
got some
does.
things that need to be done, but they weren't in the original scope of the project.
Just gotta make it to 100.
Yeah, make it right in the original project, so.
Next, Mark, is the City Hall Fire Station. I think we were waiting on the cowling for the door, for the cover.
Yeah, they've put the hoods on. I have not had a chance to talk to the chief about that, about if those were temporary or was that their solution. But the hoods are on all the doors now.
Do they look better than the original ones?
They're a little bit more they're a little bit more symmetrical, but they're the same construction type.
It's still Mr. Smith's 6th grade industrial arts class building them.
Yeah, the first one looked like it had a little bit of a buckle in it. The others seem better.
So what's the delay on getting that to 100%?
What's that?
What's the delay to getting that to 100%?
Those hoods, I have not had a chance to talk with the chief about it, but they installed those hoods last week. So all the hoods are on it. You could say it's 100%. I just don't know if that's the final product or if that's just temporary and they're going to come
We're
back
not gonna
with something
settle.
new.
We just spent millions of dollars on this, and we're putting lipstick on a pig.
I agree. So again, 80% project.
Okay.
Grassy Lake, the road striping, widening, and stop signs.
That went out for bid. The bids have been returned, and engineering firm is going over those to make sure. There was quite a wide gap in some of those bids, so they're going through them very carefully before they recommend an award.
When should we expect that before us for approval?
I hope to have them before by the next meeting.
Second fire station in the hills?
They've been meeting with the architect regularly now, so that's fully underway for design.
The speed monitoring project in Oak Valley?
So the radar signs have arrived, and they should be installed this week. And on the agenda we have, they really reduced the price for us. So on the agenda, we're asking for several more, so we can use them and move them around throughout the city.
So this is a perfect example where came in under budget. The city where Mark wants to purchase additional ones, we should just allow Mark to just do it without coming to us.
Absolutely.
So again, these are those items, Mark. We don't care about the details. You know, and it's funny, if you go back to the founding fathers, many, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, there were farmers, accountants, what have you. They would come to the city to conduct city business. So they would focus on the city, not in the city. You're great at focusing in the city. That's why you're here. So focus in the city so that we can come here, vote on what we need to, and go back to being farmers. That's essentially what the founding fathers did and what we should strive to do up here.
Okay.
So that will eliminate a lot of this red tape that we're seeing, and we'll get some of these projects underway. Does everybody agree?
Yes, but I have clarification for the attorney. If we tell Mark that he can spend $100 to buy 2 signs,
As long as they're within budget.
and all of a sudden he realizes he can get the signs for $25, can he buy 4 signs as long as he doesn't go over the 100? Are we approving the dollar amount, or are we approving the quantity? I just want to make sure Mark doesn't get in trouble.
Agreed. It's a very good clarification. Right. As long as, my understanding, as long as it's within budget, if it comes under budget, he has free reins to do what he needs to do.
That would be considered a dollar amount,
A dollar amount, correct.
yes.
Is that, it was, because I want to give my wife the same, but I
Right.
don't think she
Well,
wants it.
some of these items, the purchasing authority of the city manager, some of these are items that exceed that, which is why they come here. Normally, a lot of those items you'll see are on the consent agenda.
Right.
And the other thing, just being practical, is I think from time to time, our staff has done things that are criticized later, and so I think by putting it forward, it, one, informs you and the public what's being done, and also make sure that it's consistent with what you'd like to see, so.
And I agree. Now, let's say that the project was budgeted and was approved for $1 million, just for argument's sake. And let's say he came in, like, perfect example, came in at 700,000 because the signs are less. We gave him the free reins for $1 million. So he has every right to go and purchase additional ones should he see fit. Now, if that creates an over budget where we have to do a variance to that budget, then 100% should go back to us for approval if a change order needs to be created. But if not, he should have the ability to better it, if you will, to purchase additional signs.
And I agree with that, but historically, council at times have hung people out by just going in, making their own decisions when they think, and all of a sudden,
Bless you.
the city's about to get burned down because of a bad decision. I think he is just clarifying that he just wants to make sure, so.
And
I think it's something that we've created among ourselves.
The other side is, just because something's in the budget doesn't necessarily mean it's been appropriated or approved for spending. And that can be either because, you know, as we see, we've had this with park issues in the past, that there's funds in there from year to year, but we haven't wanted to spend those things for one reason or another. We haven't appropriated those funds. So sometimes it's a combination of that, or it's above purchasing authority depending on the staff. But yes, certainly you can give those kind of authorities saying you're authorized to spend X dollars on radar signs, don't need to bring that back, and that's certainly something that can be done.
I think if you word it in such a way where, in my opinion, you have this project's $1 million with a minimum of 2, then you're buying at least 2 at that. If you can get more, then
100%.
get more. So you just come up, instead of the maximum of being 2, you just say a minimum of.
Correct, yeah,
Does
I
that
agree.
make, does that make?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. 'Cause
I
think
could
that'll-
also make a suggestion, sorry, Eric, but if it comes down to that, Mark needs to give us a phone call, each individual, a phone call, just to get our idea, a consensus or an approval to go ahead and purchase those 2 other signs, whatever the case may be, instead of waiting for the next meeting, because it's already allocated that dollar amount. That's another way that he can go about doing that as well.
Yeah.
So it's just to
I
avoid.
don't think that, it's a voting thing where the council needs to, it needs to
But
be
if it's-
visible, it needs to be visible for the public record, for everybody to see it.
Yeah,
But if he
it-
can
if it
get
requires
4 of
voting,
them,
if it requires voting, you'd have to vote at a meeting. If
Sure.
it's just seeking a consensus, the only problem when he calls up the council meetings
Right.
is there's always that danger of sharing information among, what did Commissioner X think about it?
oh, yeah, no.
And
yeah.
that puts Mark in an awkward situation, and so we don't want any kind of sunshine
We
law
wouldn't wanna do
violation
that to him anyway.
inadvertently.
Intention's perfect, Eric.
Yeah, but-
And Scott will figure something out and bring back next week.
Sure.
And
will.
actually, I think, you do this a lot of times, you'll approve things that aren't completely, the contract isn't completely done, but you'll approve it, and there's a few things on the agenda tonight, it'll be subject to city manager and attorney review. That way, you've cut it loose, you've done what you need to do, and then it doesn't need to come back to you, so.
Perfect. That's why we
Okay.
pay you the big bucks.
Excellent.
That's right, yeah.
Subject to.
All right, I think the next one's a county project. This is a Hancock widening between Turnpike and 561A.
They're still in design. I don't know the percent design, but half in Tavares is the company that's designing it
Okay.
for the county.
Next is the wastewater treatment plant.
They're having regular design meetings, and it's, again, it's currently under design.
GFL contract, or I should say waste contract and GFL.
So we propose some ideas for the potential to improve the contract and/or extend it. GFL does not have an interest in extending it, so we're going to immediately start working on getting a bid package together. We were talking about the first of 26, but we may be able to get it done and get it out sooner than that, now that we know that they're not interested.
Are they not interested, are they not interested in bidding, or are they just not interested in extending the contract?
Probably extending with the current rates.
So they weren't interested in extending it, and they were not definitive on whether or not they would bid on it. I know there's another city that they had the contract with that went out for bid, and they did not bid on that one.
Okay, so we just need to get it out there and then come up with a transition plan, and Debbie's taking a lead on that one.
Well, I will say that I did reach out to Eric Poole, a gentleman that was here in the audience, regarding the other streets, and he asked to get back to me, and unfortunately, I still haven't heard back from him, so.
Yeah, Eric's usually really responsive. He's
Yeah, he usually is, so I don't, something must be up, but that was a request that I had of him, and I'm just bringing that back to the table as to what had transpired with that.
So you're hoping bid packets go out November?
I don't know if we can have it done by then, but
December is kind of a waste month, isn't it?
yeah.
But so, just shoot for January 1, bid packets go out?
Yeah, I think we talked about last time, the thought was we really weren't going to start working on that till after the first of the year. I think basically what we're talking about now is working on it before the first of the year so that we're kind of more ready to hit the ground running in January. We still have, as you know, till April of 2027 under the current contract, so there is time, but I think given the news, less time than, or we need a little less time than we thought, yeah.
Now, even though we are 2 years away, just for the public's edification, as we all know, there's 2 pickups and recycling at a very discounted rate compared to current market rates. We're going to have to make a lot of decisions regarding whether we want to keep that level of service, because there will be, I would say, close to 300% increase in costs overall, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's currently what we're looking at, and that's just to get up to market value and current market rates. So the question that we as a council have to answer in the next year, not less, is do we want to keep that same level of service of 2 pickups and recycling, or do we want to lower the overall impact and lower the service of potentially 2 pickups and no recycling, or 1 recycling and 1 garbage? So we still have time, but I just want to let the public be aware that this is a contract that's really going to be heavy on all of us to try to figure out.
And you have, and,
Not to mention bulk as well.
and you have an option on this, and other cities have done it, where you've taken it off of the water bill and you've moved it to the tax bill.
Yes.
So that is another option. I'm just saying there's a lot in
There's a lot
play-
of
There's a lot in
influx,
play in
yes.
how we do trash going forward.
Yes.
But,
At the council did a great job in that they secured a 10-year agreement with no cost escalators, no CPIs, no fuel adjustments. That's unusual, unheard of. So that's been really great for the community. The odds are this next one's going to be,
It ain't gonna
again,
happen
quite a
again.
bit higher than
Yes.
the current bill.
And typically, when those are bid out, to get to what Councilman Hernandez was saying, we would probably ask for alternates, once a week, twice a week, the various options, so you all know what the cost differences are. I know the last time we bid this out, as you well know, I think the people were pretty outspoken. They liked at least twice a week pickup, but you need to have those numbers as they do before you make
Absolutely.
that final decision.
But to bring it, but when we put it out last time, we were a hodgepodge of a city where we had half the city doing twice a week where you provide your own cans, and the other part of the city doing once a week, and they provided your cans. So we actually had to merge and at least get on the same cycle. So, but that's Debbie's issue. She'll handle it.
Back then, there was 3 recycling totes for paper, glass, and aluminum, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
All right, the next one is we can close it. This is your RFP for the Trailhead Park improvements. Do we have any updates on that, or what's the next steps?
We've been in touch with some folks, and we're working on an agreement to present for the company that was awarded the bid.
When do you expect that contract to come for final approval?
Probably the first meeting in October.
Okay. Then the Parks Workshop number 2, unfortunately, that's gonna be put on hold until we finalize the social media, so we can get some surveys out. So we'll skip that one. Second phase, septic to sewer, that's still on hold, so we'll skip over that. And, all right, time for your favorite.
Mark and I talked. We're good. It's been a rough week, so.
So what's glad you guys spoke, but
What's up,
we would
Dave?
like to know.
They were out here today. All of a sudden, all their crews had COVID, so they couldn't do it. Not sure what that means, but they were out here today. That's all I can say. And Christine can back me up. They were here today. And there are plants going in slowly but surely. More surely, a lot more slowly.
I'm gonna let you run with
Yeah,
that
with
one.
that. So,
Yep.
moving on.
Memorial Wall for Veterans First Responders.
So right now, we are, in regards to the memorial wall, let me go back and tell you about the texture that is on at the memorial site. They are redoing it because of the color that didn't come out correctly, but she is making sure that it'll be ready and looking fabulous for the 9/11 Remembrance Day. Now, in regards to the walls, Christine? Right. There you go.
Next, keep you on the mic, Pam, is the splash pad, the library.
That would be Mark.
And Mark?
We previously had the engineer here to kind of show a site plan. He's going to work on an agreement to propose to us to do the design. We've also talked with some other companies who do that type of work. Chris will do the civil part of it, but he doesn't design splash pads, so we're working through some ideas on that.
We did have some changes for him, so he will be coming back with them, with the changes.
I think in the meantime, we can get our mayor out there with the water hose, just to
Sure.
spray.
That'll be great.
I think that'll be a good. Their sprinkler system, huh?
Yeah.
I did that. I think we all did that. Next will be the pier on Lake Minneola.
The same, we did meet with one company last week to get some ideas on that, and Spires also wanted to do a site plan for us. I believe we're going to come back in a very future meeting to get the council to consider Inspire to design some changes to the cemetery and also do a master site plan for Trailhead Park. I mean, not Trailhead Park, the Heroes Memorial Park.
And then last thing, Mark, is I know that the city, Can you give us a little bit of history on the JPA that we currently have with the county?
So, we do not have a JPA with them, but we have something similar. We have a ISBA agreement with them. It was, we have two of them, but it was proposed back in 2010, 2011. Councilman Saunders was involved in that. But there are parts in there about where they share their planning, proposed plans with us within those boundaries, and we have an opportunity to provide input. They don't have to accept our input, and they routinely send those to us. But beyond that, you know, they don't have to do what we ask them to do.
Right, but I think we're one of two cities that did not agree with Lake County when it comes to the JPAs. What was the reasoning behind why we didn't agree with them?
I think the process for the ISBA was a real challenge. It took a long time to hammer out, and I think that sort of, back then, the council sort of felt like that served that role, and it does to a degree. But it's certainly something we can look at if the council wants us to consider that.
Well, and again, I don't want to speak for council. With Lake County being the second or third largest growing county in Florida, what we don't want is to become just a county of buildings and a county of concrete, right? So even if it's just an agreement, I think it's time for us to put, to stake our place in the county. As your last email alluded, that we have the estimate population now, you said at 22,000, I believe what the email stated?
21 and change?
21, off by 1,000. We're no longer a town, I would say. We are definitely a fast-growing city. Considering 10 years, we were close to 14,000, right? So quite an increase. And I think it's time to, like I said, stake our place when it comes to development with the county to make sure that we want what we like, and we want to make sure that's cemented with them, and then all parties and all surrounding cities agree with us as well. So I would like to open it up for council.
If I may, on a JPA, you have to look at what the JPA is that's going to buy Minneola.
Mhm.
This JPA sounds great. We're going to work with the county. When you look at Minneola, you have the Ferndale, which can't be touched for 20 years. So that's off the charts.
Sure.
We back up to Claremont and Minneola. So the only place that a JPA is actually going to benefit us, and it will, and it's going to be the Highway 27 corridor from City Hall to the prison, because we're landlocked everywhere around. So there's nothing else the county can do except that corridor. So if there is going to be a JPA, then that needs to be really focused on the 27 corridor, and in that, there actually needs to be a design overlay of what buildings need to look like on 27 as it goes up.
Agreed.
Because if not, like I've always said, if we do not watch 27 from here to the schools there, it's going to turn into Four Corners really quick.
Oh, I agree.
So the JPA is going to be a special JPA designed for us, because what we're focusing on compared to places like Groveland, who have a city and big, huge county parcels next to it, or that. So in theory, it could be a JPA, but it's a little bit different, and that's why we never really focused heavily on JPA, because there was nothing to really joint plan back then, because 27 was not kicking up, but it is kicking up now. So it is a good time to go back and rethink it.
Yeah, I'm not saying let's sign it. I think it'd be a good
But
time
I
just to
think
bring it up.
that
and
would be
re-explore
it. But I think there was a point in time where there was a parcel in Minneola that, when we were not approving any houses, that they wanted to split, and we said, we actually sent a letter to the county and asked them not to not allow these 10 houses to go on there, and the county pretty much just ignored us, and they approved 7 houses. So at that point in time, it's like, why do you even, before you go into the agreements, why, we ask you pleasantly, but it could be time. The board has changed, we've changed since then, so maybe it is time if they want to readdress it. But
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think it's just time to
open up the dialogue.
Correct, yes, agreed.
But that would be a reason why just think of GPA, the only thing it's going to be is the spine is up to 27.
And I fully agree, with that, but that 27, I'm sure everyone has driven up that area.
Oh, it's going to be a shit show.
Up to the to the old Holiday Inn, that we really need to to do something with that area.
Yeah, it's, if we don't stay on top of it with the county. And the problem is, we own part of the city, and then next to it is the county, and so you've got to really work it together to make sure that it develops. If not, you're gonna get, you could possibly get a trailer on one piece of property and a really nice building on something else, so.
Yep, agreed, yeah.
Under the ISBA, the boundaries are already set for until that agreement expires, and ours go just beyond 561 up where Causey Road and the right where the prison is, and then beyond that, it's going to be Groveland's area. So all those hotels and all will be Groveland.
Well,
Yeah,
like I said-
and to Mark's point, I would probably support, rather than doing a JPA, the ISBA, the Interlocal Service Boundary Agreement, that's really what it does. I think most people just aren't familiar with ISBAs, or an odd-sounding beast, and they are familiar with JPA. So I do know there are some cities who have done JPAs, but that's what the whole ISBA was for, it literally maps out, as the mayor says, the areas where, and you're correct, Minneola, because of our natural, Claremont to the south, Groveland, even Astatula, there aren't a whole lot of areas that we're gonna grow, so there weren't a whole lot of area, but it addresses annexation, utilities, because the county doesn't have utilities, so when they approve, they need to get the utilities typically from us. So all those are there, and there actually is a mechanism in the ISBA that if you ever want to discuss this again, we can reach out to the county and the other cities that are involved and say, hey, we'd like to discuss these things, going forward. And 27 corridor is even addressed in there, with some specific properties are even identified where they're going to annex and under what circumstances. So it's fire protections also address things like that. So, yeah.
And there's two areas of annexation. There's a first area, which are no strings attached if we annex in that area. There's a secondary area, which if we annex there, there's going to be strings attached to that.
Sure. Well, like I said, I think it's, to the mayor's point, it'd be a good time to just review it and see if it makes sense. I think that's all I ask.
I just think there's a lot of information out there, and we need to
Digest
either
it.
decide it or explain why we're not.
Agreed, yep. All right, that's all I got. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate all the work.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
With that said, it's Constitution Week once again. This is proclamation for Constitution Week 2025. Whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation. And whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 2915 guarantees the issuing of this proclamation each year by the President of the United States by designated September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. And therefore, I, Pat Kelly, the Mayor of the City of Minneola, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd to be Constitution Week. Yay. Consent agenda. Is there anybody in the audience that have any comments on the consent agenda? If not, I'll bring it back to council for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the city manager's consent agenda.
I'll second.
First and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Okay, resolution 2025, special exceptions for alcohol for off-site consumption. We're going to do these individually, but before we go down this path, we are not approving the site plan. Can you please articulate exactly what we're approving tonight? This is just saying that they can do it. They'll have to come back for site plans and stuff like that, but we can discuss some issues if we want to put anything in it to make it.
Yeah, I think it does help.
Just to explain to people what
sometimes,
it is. We're
Just
not-
big picture, the items 9, 10, and 11 are all dealing with the same project in different areas. One of them is the special exception for alcohol for off-site consumption. The second is a special exception for a convenience store with fuel operations, a gas station. And the last one is a variance on the square footage requirement. All of these are quasi-judicial matters. We'll swear everybody in a second and go through that. You'll hear from the applicant, you'll hear from the staff, and then public comment on each of these items. So that there's no misunderstanding. Sometimes people think that like tonight is the final approval, and if something gets approved, they're gonna be out there tomorrow morning, you know, digging dirt and starting to construction. No, this is just, in many ways, the beginning. Before they can even get into their in-detail plans and site plans and all that, they need to know whether or not these uses will be allowed, and if they are allowed, what conditions, and that's really the task. There's a number of conditions that have been spoken of in public meetings to date and that are in the resolution, things like hours of operation and all of those type of items that are already in there. But if that is approved tonight, that's not the end of the story. There's certainly all three of these projects, these developments, will all have to come through formal site plan approval, which all goes through Planning and Zoning Commission for recommendations and then comes back to council again. All those meetings are public meetings in which comment will be taken in consideration. So tonight, in many ways, for instance, on buffers, there may just be a requirement that there is a satisfactory buffer. It can get into as much detail as you want at this stage, but it's unusual to actually where every single tree goes or where every wall goes or something like that. Those type of things are typically worked out at site plan. That's what you're looking for, Mayor.
Yeah, and there was a couple, I just wanted for clarification just for me when I look at this, because usually when we do this, we look at a site and we say it's a special exception for this site. Well, this one is one site and it's going to come back and get subdivided. So what prevents, and this is not going to happen, and just to clarify, but hypothetically, because we're supposed to have a pretty bougie shopping district up where there's a bunch of car dealerships and a Costco now years ago. So things happen when we give these exceptions and we let them do things, then the markets change and all this. Alcohol for off-site consumption. So there's going to be a convenience store and gas station, and there's going to be supposedly, my understanding, some type of liquor store at, so what prevents another one going there? Like what prevents, if they do this into 7 different parcels, that every parcel gets this piece? Like if we approve a convenience store with fuel operations and they say, well, you applied it for this parcel, but now there's 3 parcels that wants to have gas stations. What prevents it, or 2 grocery stores going there, what prevents them getting one and then saying it's good for all of it? Does that make sense?
Scott, do you want me to answer that?
Sure, if you want, or I can.
Go ahead and let Scott,
Okay.
What I mix, you can correct what I get wrong. Some of these things are site-specific, and actually the resolutions reference the conceptual site plans that you have had before you. So, for instance, the convenience store with fuel operations, the location of that was a concern. And so for that item, you can certainly specify that if it is allowed, where it would be allowed. It can't just be anywhere on the whole site, and they can put it where you want. So those are the kind of conditions that if you approve that thing can certainly be done. Others, you may not be as specific. For instance, the liquor store doesn't have to be exactly in this point, but if there's a need to clarify exactly where it is, you can.
My concern is on this is, we've gone through this before, they did it at Bella Colina, we're having the same thing at Town Center, is they do a conceptual drawing and then the person comes back. So can you make these conditions, the approval of this is if the conceptual plan has any major changes to it,
But I think
they can negate. Because if there's 2 parcels there and they're sitting out and they're like, oh, they want, instead of selling with 2 parcels, somebody wants to an outside strip mall with it, put them together, that's not an ending, but major moving, there's kind of it's the theory of a bait and switch. And I don't think they're going to
there wouldn't be any major moving of these uses we're talking about. They could perhaps, the way they actually subdivide the parcel, we're not getting into those type issues. They'll have to come through, if they do a subdivision, again, that would be another process, would have to come through and be approved at that time, but these uses, the conceptual plans will reference it, and it says they have to be substantially consistent with the concept plans. But if they come back through site plan and say, we had a retention pond here and we had the liquor store here, it makes more sense to move it over here. The residents like that change, it works for everybody. You can make those type of adjustments at site plan, but you can't have, as you call it, a bait and switch where we have concept plans and they radically say, oh, we're
trying to
stick
protect the future, because
we're
these
moving
things,
the gas station up and we said we'd keep it down here. No.
and
that
just
wouldn't-
wanted to make sure, because we've had Popeye supposed to come in 3 times across the way and never has, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that doesn't, and by the way, the approval tonight doesn't necessarily even mean it will ever come to fruition. It just means
No.
that it's been approved for that to happen, like the Popeyes
Okay.
thing.
We also, I believe if you look, I believe it was limited to the number of off-site alcohol facilities that they could put on that site.
Yes.
So they can't just get that one approval and then put in 6 different liquor stores.
That's fine. I just want to make sure that
For
we're,
a liquor store, yeah, right.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Okay, how do you want to do this? Any preference of how you want to do this? You want to do them individually or together, or how do you want to? I think stay focused individually.
Individually.
Okay, we're going, yeah, we're going to do audience. No, when I said do it individually,
Voting.
it's like, do you want to do,
Voting.
are we going to do, let's go through one, the alcohol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all
First,
individual that way,
And then,
yes.
so that means people can talk on that one, then we're going to close that one, vote on it, then
Right.
we're going to move to the
Perfect.
next one. But I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, that
Sounds good.
we're going to do one at a time.
Thank you.
So for each one, you'll hear from city staff presentation from the applicant as need be, any comments you have, and then
Yeah.
take it for public comment. and go
Eric's
from
going to have to figure it out, because I think he has it as one big presentation, but if he wants to do his one big
there.
presentation,
That'd be fine too.
and then
yeah.
we're going to do one presentation by the planner for everything, but we're going to handle each one individually. So if you're talking about the exception on liquor stores, on alcohol consumption, save your 3 minutes for the square footage, because you'll have another 3 minutes later. So you've got rollover minutes. So, okay?
They still have rollover minutes?
So Eric, go ahead.
And this is a quasi-judicial matter. If I could just go ahead and swear everybody in for all 3 items, 9, 10, and 11 at this time. If there's anybody that may wish to speak, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you. And then, when you come to the podium, or even ahead of time, if you can just sign your name and address and be good to go.
Next year's budget. Next year's budget.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, Eric Rosh with Inspire. Here in my capacity as a contract planner to the city. This likely looks pretty familiar to folks sitting on council. We've had a couple of discussions, workshop, various hearings on this project. So the way my presentation split out is I have an overview of the entirety of the request, and then I drill into the specific items on your agenda. So as you know, this one's west of US 27. It's south of Vino Road and Sullivan Road. It's approximately 21 acres in size. And it's Zone B1, which is a retail type of classification. As mentioned, there's 3 applications on the agenda. Number 9 is the sale of alcoholic beverages. That's a special exception for off-site consumption, also known as a liquor store. Number 10 is a special exception for a convenience store with fuel, which is a gas station. And then number 11 is a variance for the square footage to allow a grocery store. Just a little bit of history. P&Z considered these applications back on June 2nd of this year. And at that time, there was some significant community concerns expressed related to compatibility, buffering, safety, the types of uses associated with the project. So ultimately, it was requested to do a workshop with council and P&Z that occurred on June 24th. And then the applicant resubmitted on July 25th in an attempt to satisfy some of those concerns. So here are the changes that were made on the resubmittal. So this is different than what folks saw last time at the workshop. They relocated the gas station from out parcel 1 to out parcel 4. If you recall, the gas station was originally on the corner of Vino Road and 27, and there were some concerns with the proximity to the neighborhood to the north. They moved the liquor store from north of the grocer to south of the grocer to further separate it from the residential. They shifted the grocer about 50 feet south, just trying to move it as far possible south from the residential. They worked with the charter school to relocate a bus stop internal to the community. They heard some concerns, I believe, with traffic and conflicts, safety with students congregating at the bus stop. And they added a 10-foot berm between the grocer and the western property line. They provided a couple images of that, so I'll step through those. This is from the applicant. I'll let them explain, the perspective that this is representing. And then the berm was provided here, just a image from the applicant. So again, I'll let them speak through that, but it's part of the presentation if folks need to reference it. So we had a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting with the updated plan on August 4th. There was a lot of discussion at that meeting as well. We had two recommendations. So on item 9, the special exception, P&Z recommended approval subject to the staff conditions, and then there was a restriction to limit the hours to 10 p.m. There was concern with kind of having late night hours of the liquor store. Item 10, P&Z had a really long discussion on the gas station, and they were unable to come to a recommendation, so that has no formal recommendation coming forward to you from P&Z. And then item number 11, which was the square footage for the grocery store, they did recommend approval subject to a number of conditions. One, they wanted dark sky lighting standards. They wanted the applicant to review Mr. Carey's recommendation to move the access and signal south from Vino to line up with Point Grand across the street to the east. And I'll let the applicant speak to if they were able to analyze that condition. But they ultimately recommended approval with those conditions. So Mayor, if you'd like, I'd go ahead and step through all three of them, kind of our recommendation, and then we can open it up individually.
Is that fine, Council? Were you with that? Yep. Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. So item number 9, again, within a proposed commercial subdivision, as stated, this subdivision would have to come back at a separate hearing to create these out parcels and infrastructure, really just trying to get towards the use at this point. So as I mentioned, they relocated it south of the grocer. It's just under 3,000 square feet. And of course, the sale of alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption is a special exception in the B1 zoning district. These are the 6 criteria that council is required to consider when considering a special exception: traffic generation and access, off-street parking and loading, yard screening and buffering, the size, location, and number of special exception uses in the district, architecture and signage, and then finally public services. So we reviewed this against the criteria. We found that it's anticipated to have similar impacts from a traffic standpoint to other B1 uses. They are proposing buffers and service areas per code. There's no additional variances. Those are all consistent with the land development code. They are meeting the distance separations, the goals 400 feet between establishments, and they're consistent with those requirements in the code. Architecture and signage, they haven't requested any architectural variances. We typically review the architecture at the time of site plan, so that'll be a discussion, and of course that site plan will be required to come back to you for approval as well. And then public services, we did not receive any objections from Public Works regarding the ability to serve the use from water or wastewater. So in summary, for the first request, the revised plan was submitted on July 25th. It's compliant with the criteria and the distance separation requirements for establishments selling those alcoholic beverages that are outlined in code. We have no outstanding comments from staff, and P&Z recommended approval subject to those staff conditions, with the additional condition that the hours would be limited to close at 10 p.m. The next one is item number 10. This is going to be the special exception for the gas station. As shown on the screen, this one's been relocated further south into the project. It's a little bit smaller of a parcel. I think the original parcel on the corner was about 1.4 acres. This one's about 1.2, also zone B1. They're proposing just under 49 square feet for the convenience store and gas station. They are meeting the minimum parking requirements with 32 parking spaces, and the maximum height proposed is going to be just under 25 feet. And they did provide some elevations for consideration. That's been included in your packet. We have noted that there may be some changes.
Can you go back to the elevation for a moment, please?
Yes, sir.
Gee, I
And-
wonder who it is.
And just to note that these are subject to detailed review when we go through the site plan process. It'll probably look a little bit different than what you see here in your packet to comply with code.
Fine.
So again, the 6 criteria that we evaluated, the applicant did for traffic resubmit a traffic impact analysis on the 27th, so just last week. We issued a final comment through our sub-consultant, MAPS, regarding some inconsistencies with some of the language regarding an eastbound left turn lane, to extend that turn lane. So I believe the applicant's in agreement with that comment, and they can update the study to reflect that. Parking does exceed code minimums. They are going to need to designate a loading area consistent with the Land Development Code. In terms of buffers, they are proposing the required 10-foot buffers on the north, south, and west, and they've got the required 20-foot landscape buffer adjacent to 27. So those are consistent with code. We had no additional comments on the criteria for the number of special exception uses. Architecture, we have suggested some revisions to comply with the architectural standards and the Land Development Code. So that's one of our conditions of approval, that we would deal with that at site plan. And then public services, again, no objections from Public Works. There was a note on the Vino Road buffer. Perhaps maybe this is a little bit more important when the gas station was shown immediately adjacent to Vino Road, but there's still a note that shows a 10-foot buffer adjacent to Vino. We requested that to be amended to 20 because of the single family across the street. So that's a condition that could be added. As I mentioned, additional information is required for criteria 1 and 5. So 1's going to be the traffic study. They just need to make that update to the study. And then number 5, the architectural, which we'll deal with its site plan. If you motion to approve this evening, we'd require the updated traffic impact analysis, the updated site plan to designate the code required loading space, the updated site plan to enhance the buffering on the north side, so add the 20-foot buffer on the north, and then just a condition that they're going to comply with architectural requirements at the time of site plan. And as I mentioned, P&Z was kind of torn on this one. There's a lot of discussion, and they were unable to come to a motion to either approve or deny.
So Eric, I do have a question on that. So
Yes, sir.
I know that we spent a lot of time, obviously, focusing on the alcohol for outside consumption. This is specifically for the fuel operations. And as a majority of us here know, majority of the profits of any gas station is in the convenience store. That being said, will beer be allowed to be sold in this convenience store?
Yes, the special exception is specific for hard liquor, so they don't require a special exception to sell beer and wine for off-site consumption at convenience stores.
So in reality, there could potentially be 2 locations in this parcel, the 21 acres, where there'll be liquor and beer and wine.
That's correct. Well, and the grocery store as well.
Well, a grocery store, yeah.
Sell
yeah.
beer and wine as well.
Yeah, you're right. So technically there'll be 3, including beer and wine in the gas station as well.
Yes,
You
sir.
could put those, but those could be, you don't need a special exception to sell beer in a convenience store.
No, I'm not saying.
No,
you-
no, I just want to clarify. So the first special exception is only for hard liquor
Okay.
standalone, the other
Well,
3.
I just think it's, where it says alcohol, obviously beer is alcohol, right? So I was just
Right,
wondering.
but theoretically, though, then it would ask the question, because this is new to me, because I didn't know this happened. But restaurants, that you can get like a bag of sangria to go from restaurants now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing. Do you have to get special exceptions? Like if a restaurant went there and they were selling sangria in a bag to walk out, do they actually have to get?
Food establishments are not included.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand. Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, the point being, I just want to make sure that it was known that beer and wine could be sold in this convenience store if passed.
Okay, thanks.
All right, and then the final request, which is number 11, that's going to be the variance for square footage. This is the larger out parcel, also zoned B1. They're requesting just under 48,000 square feet for a grocer. You can see it on the plan here. It's in the center of the site. And I'll let the applicant address how they've planned on buffering and screening it and the changes they've made since the last meeting. But there are separate criteria for variances, a little bit different than special exceptions. Can't reduce the property values of the properties around it. Should be a benefit to the public interest. Denial would be an unnecessary hardship. Can't be contrary to the spirit of the Land Development Code. And then the last two deal with hardships, financial and physical, and the applicant's not claiming either a financial or physical hardship with this. We went through this at our last meeting. It allows for a grocery store to serve the adjacent residential uses, absent granting a variance. It's unlikely a grocer would be on the site just due to the square footage requirements, the maximum 18,000 square foot building within the city. Provide access to the food for the surrounding residents and folks within the city on the 27 corridor. Absent the variance, as I mentioned, the grocer is likely not going to occupy the site. And the grocery store is a permitted use in B1. So you'd be, limiting otherwise permitted use through that requirement. The spirit of the Land Development Code, they aren't requesting any other variances for parking, landscaping, loading islands, buffers, or anything like that. So all of the other provisions within the Land Development Code will be met. And of course, you'll be able to check that because the site plan would come to you for approval and you would see the parking and the landscaping and all those things. And then, as I mentioned, they didn't claim any financial or physical hardships associated with this request. So we don't require any additional information to evaluate it. There were no outstanding comments or objections from staff. There was a pretty long recommendation at P&Z on this one. So they recommended approval subject to the staff recommendations, compliance with dark sky lighting requirements, exploration of Mr. Carey's recommendations about access. And that concludes my presentation. Certainly stand for questions. And of course, we have the whole applicant team here if you need specific responses to anything they're proposing.
Yeah, Eric, I do, sorry, one more question on the grocery store. Do you know what the approximate square footage is of the Publix on Hancock?
I believe it's in the same ballpark of typically Publix is and those types of grocers that you're seeing enter the market right now, 45 to 50,000 square feet typically. Yes,
Thank
sir.
Okay, if the council may, can the applicant come up? We're going to handle these separately. Is there any particular order that you would like to handle these in? I know we kind of just forced them down, but if you have one that you'd rather rip the Band-Aid off of, or if we're good to go.
Let's just take them in the order that they're.
That's fine. I just want to make sure that.
If that's all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and staff. My name is Jimmy Crawford. I am an attorney with the law firm of Crawford, Modick & Holt, 702 West Montrose Street, Claremont, Florida, and I do represent the owner and the applicant in the case tonight. We have a full project team here that I would like to quickly introduce. Michael Haddad is with Kimley Horn. He's our traffic engineer. Blake Guidry and Derek Ramseur. That's easy for him to say. Are both civil engineers with Kimley Horn and our project engineers. Chiara Rios and Maria Paglia are the architects with Interplan, and Nathan Landers and Steve Lepovsky are with Blackfin Development, the proposed developer of the parcel. And when we met outside right before the meeting, each of them handed me a thumb drive with a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation, and I threw them all in the trash. So we're not going to have those tonight. You guys and these guys out here have heard this story several times, so I'm going to do the 5-minute quick summary. And then, of course, we'll listen to our neighbors and, of course, answer council questions as well. The neighbor comments that have come through several different portals primarily came through the workshop that was done. I do know that the owners and I think the engineering team has met again with members of the HOA board, at least in there. I wasn't there, so I don't know the details of that one. But the written comments, and there are about 6 in the backup, and they routinely say traffic, noise and light pollution, gas station. They say those things over and over. There are some more. There's some people concerned about leaking tanks in the underground storage tanks. That's not regulated at the city level. It's heavily regulated at the state and the federal level now. And I don't know, since FDEP did their replacement project in the 90s and the aughts, that any of the new double-walled tanks have failed statewide. It's not the problem that it used to be, and it did used to be a problem, and we don't want to just poo-poo it because they're absolutely correct. So I'm just going to take a couple of the comments. There was, I'm not going to use full names here, they're in the record, but Bob said it doesn't fit within the small, quiet community that we live in. And I understand that completely. If I lived behind there and this was vacant, actually, I have done that. I lived on Elm Forest Drive when the Publix was put in over by the Citrus Tower. So that was the late 90s. I would like to point out that what we have used is between 1/4 and 1/3 of our allowed intensity. The staff report talks about the intensity being 1.1 FAR is the max allowed, to be about 250,000 square feet of buildings that you could put on the property. And we have less than half of that. And if you did all of that in medical office, which if you're not going to do a shopping center here, medical office with the new hospitals and going in and the increase in population is the next best alternative. And if you did, we could do 14 18,000 square foot medical buildings, and the traffic would be around 2,000 peak hour trips, which is roughly double what we're proposing with ours. So yes, it's going to be a change for the people in North Minneola and certainly the people in the community, but we believe that it does fit within. Highway 27 is, as you know, a federal highway and an evacuation route. It's a major road, and it has major commercial properties along it, hopefully appropriately buffered and situated between the extremely intense highway commercial and the less intense residential behind us. Let's see. Juan said he was worried about the leaking potential for the tanks and the runoff. The runoff is handled stormwater through both your engineers and St. John's engineers, and we're required to not increase the runoff on anyone. And I will say now that with the 10-foot buffer proposed behind the store, it's impossible to get any water off of this site into the neighborhood. Daniel said the rules are here to keep communities the way it is, to keep the community the way it is. I don't necessarily agree with that, because the rule of 18,000 square feet, if you didn't offer special exceptions or variances from that, you wouldn't have a hospital, you wouldn't have a Crooked Can, you wouldn't have two Publix that are here. It's there to provide a system of checks and balances, so these things come before you guys and you get to condition them, deny them, approve them, decide what's right and wrong. But the code isn't there to keep the community the way it is. You guys who have been here 10, 15, 20 years, you've seen enormous change, and we're gonna see a lot more. We just need to try to do it the right way. And Daniel also said that we should have a traffic study before approval, and we do. It will be complete. We only got the last comment today, but that will be replied to and done within this week. Certainly, it was a minor change. So that one's done. We checked it off. Colton said we need to move the gas station to the south. We did. He said we need to add a berm on the west line. We did. And the traffic, he said it's the best we can do. I certainly hope so. Everybody's hands are a little bit tied on traffic because of the FDOT road. We show what we are proposing, but until we apply for our formal permit, which we can't do until we get our zoning, we won't know exactly what DOT is going to approve or not approve on that. Bree said a gas station by the entrance is unacceptable. We moved it. She was worried about water table contamination and wanted privacy landscaping, which we have added. I would note I have had a discussion that there may be a wish to relocate some of the canopy trees that are proposed to be in the buffer on 27 to the rear of the property and add more landscaping to the berm and the buffer back there. And because I believe the overstory trees do become a trimming problem when FP&L comes by and butchers our trees as they have done in the past. So I think I don't exactly know how to accomplish that. It would have to be at site plan.
I think I talked to Scott. I'm the one that brought that up, and that
Okay.
was, if you look at Highway 27, it sounds really good when trees are really small, but then they get big, and then they come make the big Vs, and we're thinking the long game of if this, whatever goes there, or anywhere on 27, we probably need to address these. Not just now, but for the future. Talked to Scott, and Scott said that's a site plan issue.
Okay.
But it is something just for thought
All right.
process.
Well, and it's certainly something that we are willing to try to work out with the city on that. That one doesn't bother us at all.
There was something else in Eric's thing, and I met with him today. I was not at the workshop. My daughter had a baby on that day. But the turn lane out, Eric's had 3. You thought there was 4. Was there clarification? Is it 2 lefts, a straight, and a right, or is it a left, a straight, and a right? I'm just trying, just for clarification.
Right. And I think for that one, I'm going to bring up our engineers because the traffic comment that we got back today impacts that.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make clarification because Eric's picture showed one thing, and I just want to make sure that
I
we're
got
on
you.
the.
So Derek, do you mind coming up and trying to address that? And no PowerPoints.
No PowerPoints.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So we took the recommendations.
Address for the record.
Derek Ransburg, 200 South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32801. We have a conceptual design on the site plan. So basically what we did is we took the traffic comments, we've updated the traffic analysis, and we've got to the point where we have a recommendation for what we want to do for that intersection. So that will include the signal. Right now on the current concept plan we have, it's a through, 2 lefts, and then westbound through. But per some comments that we've been going back and forth with Eric and his team on, there is potential we change that to 1 left turn lane, but we do have some more work to iron out with that. And all this is, it's conceptual in nature, that it's just based off recommendations, but we still have to get approval from Lake County, FDOT, and the city as well to actually formally iron out all the details.
I understand that. I just want to make sure that there's some type of plan, because if you're coming off of 27, there's a decel lane. Are you coming in decel lane into a full traffic lane, or is it a decel into a merge, or is it 5? I'm just trying to understand.
If we're talking about
Or is this a site plan issue, Scott? Just tell me. If it's site plan, it's a site plan.
Yeah, it is site plan, but as much as we know now, I'm sure everybody would like to hear.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
happy
thank
to
you.
share. Yeah, so it will be ironed out at site plan. But right now we have a decel lane onto Vino, and then that's just a straight through.
Okay, so basically it's 2 on Vino, a decel lane and a straight lane on Vino. So it's a decel lane, so you come 27.
Yes.
Am I going to go 27 straight into Vino, or am I going 27 onto a decel lane to merge into Vino?
No, just straight into Vino, just a through.
Okay, and then coming off on Vino, you got 2 lefts, a straight, and a right.
2 lefts, a straight, and a right. Yes, but that may be changed based off of some of the comments we've just recently got.
Right. What we got today is they said we don't know if there's enough volume to handle the double lefts, and they'd rather see us revise that. So
Define, revise that.
Revise it to a longer 1 left turn lane. That would be the alternative.
So, okay.
And again, it's something we have to work out with the city through the site plan process along with DOT.
Yeah, but mine is, you're not getting back any land. We still have land on there if we decided to move over. My thing is, roads can get, tweaked, but it's getting the land back from it is my concern. It's like, okay, well, we're not gonna do this land, so that gives us more land to build a bigger piece. So keep it to buffering and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's plenty of right-of-way for the 4 lanes or going back to 3. We do have plenty of right-of-way.
Okay, that's my biggest concern.
Yes.
Okay.
So there would be none that would need to be
Hey, did you have
taken
anything
by the.
before we go back to public traffic? You have any traffic questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, do you have a traffic question, Joe? Mr. Joe has, I'm not sure if it's one or a list, but he's got questions.
Well,
Traffic.
I assume you don't have approval yet for the southern entrance?
Right in, right out.
Yeah, so we've had pre-apps with DOT to address and locate this right turn in, right turn out. So basically, based off their spacing requirements, this is where we've settled, and they've conceptually agreed to. We still have to submit for a FDOT access permit, which, as Jimmy mentioned earlier, we can do after we get this approval, if we get it. So yes, we're allowed one right in, one right in, right out, and it's that distance, which is about 800 or so feet. And that has been fully discussed with DOT.
I have a concern. Point Grand is right across the street, as I'm sure you know. The way they've laid out their property, there's going to be 300 homes coming out of their property, going north, and trying to get to the turnpike. Maybe it won't be 300, maybe 50 cars will go to Leesburg for work, school or something, maybe, I don't know. But I'm estimating there's going to be somewhere near 200 to 300 cars going north to get to the turnpike, which is not north. They're going to have a choice. The choice will be go Sullivan Road to Scrub J, which the people on Sullivan Road will scream bloody murder at. Or they can do a U-turn at the traffic light and go south to Citrus Grove Road. That, to me, is a concern. I don't have any suggestions on how to solve that, but when you get the people coming up, going north, turning into the let's call it a shopping center, turning into the shopping center, and the people leaving Point Grand, trying to make a U-turn at that light. I think it was you, Derek, that brought up that there's going to be a long turn lane there. Certainly the traffic engineer from Point Grand brought the same thing up. There's going to be a long turn lane there. I guess we'll have to offer some prayers to the FDOT and how they set that traffic light for a long turn lane, turning around, making U-turns, which most people hate, by the way. Most people, and I'm no exception, I can't stand it when 10 people in front of me make a U-turn when I'm trying to turn left. But you have to live with that in some places, but an extra long turn lane with a lot more cars queuing up to make a U-turn or to turn into the shopping center, to me, is, in my opinion, is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, and I don't know that for a fact, but I'm glad I won't have to do that.
Well, Councilman Saunders, if I could offer 2 little responses to that. First is that I'm not sure I'm completely understanding you. If people come out of Point Grand and take a right and head north on 27, if they want to get on the turnpike, they only have 2 miles to go to get on the south turnpike at 19 and 27. So some of them will probably go that way rather than making a U-turn.
You think they'll go north to travel south?
No, they're not. They're gonna go, if you
There's
need
shortest
to go,
distance.
you need to go ways it. Just forget the traffic engineer, just go ask Waze, and it'll tell you which way the traffic's gonna go.
That's fair enough, that's fair enough, yes, absolutely. The
Nothing
second
personal,
is-
but y'all have been replaced by AI a long time ago.
That's a fact, and it's not a problem of our making, but we'll certainly try to work with it as best we can. The other
I
thing is, I
understand
bet
that,
you
but
about
when-
half of the people that got here today got here exactly the way you're describing. They come on 27 to the light, make a U-turn while other people are trying to make a right, and we get in here. So it's not a novel approach. It's been used all over 27.
And I understand that, but when Citrus Grove came into 27 as a 4-lane road, we started having people die. We had to go to the county and say, please put a traffic light in there so that people won't die at that intersection. And I don't remember how many people went to see the Lord at that intersection, but it was more. If it was one, it was more than we wanted.
Yep.
Okay? So I'm only saying that I'm concerned about that intersection because when Point Grand presents their traffic study, they don't care about you. When you present your traffic study, you're not concerned too much about Point Grand either. And from my point of view, there ain't much you can do about it. I mean, I look at this and, like I say, I don't have a feasible solution with an amount of money that somebody would be willing to spend.
We certainly will keep it in mind, and as we've discussed, we're all sitting here batting a soccer ball around that there's a 400-pound gorilla that's actually going to kick for us. So we can do our best, and as far as the traffic studies go, they do take into consideration the other projects that have been approved, correct?
Yes, sir, yes. So I was gonna say, we did take into account Point Grand and future development coming up in the area, and that is kind of what warranted this signal, because out there today, I mean, it's a full access with no signalization on a 55-mile-per-hour road. So it is a little bit of a dangerous situation now. So yes, we will be bringing more trips and traffic by creating this development, but bringing the signal is a very safe thing to do, and it is the right way, which is why we got to the point of doing the intersection control evaluation, signal warrant analysis, and this is the safest thing that we can bring.
Yeah, it'll be lovely, I'm sure. But I'm glad I don't have to go through that intersection every day to get to work. I'm just saying.
Understand. Again, we're here to answer questions, and we want to hear our neighbors, and then I'll have 2 or 3 minutes to
That's
wrap
fine.
up at the end.
That's fine. Joe, you have any other questions? Do you have
No,
any?
that's my problem with the traffic.
Do you want to hold yours, or you have?
Well, no, because we're going to be voting on each individual,
Yeah.
correct? So
Yeah.
this is for the off-site alcohol consumption.
Okay, so you want to listen to the audience first on off-site first before you give your comment, or you want to wait?
It doesn't matter to me.
Let's go with audience. This is for off-site consumption, alcohol for off-site consumption.
Item 9.
Good evening, Council. Juan Camacho, 753 Rioja Drive, Minneola. Just two points of order. One, I would recommend that the council hear from public comment as it pertains to items 9, 10, and 11 together. Those issues bleed within each other, so it would be easier for the public to be able to quote and to explain.
If you want to bleed them,
there's-
bleed them.
Okay, we can do that. And the second point of order would just be that the voting be where the variance is first. So item 11, move that up before item 9 and 10, only because based on my understanding, and we can confirm with the applicant, if the variance fails, the entire development fails. So those are 2 points of order.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with, I mean, I agree that there is an order of precedence here somewhere. That's what I was trying to get at. So how do you want to do? I think there's an order of precedence that if you don't have the if you don't have the 18,000, you don't get the liquor store. So if 11 doesn't pass, then 9's a moot point. So
You could probably make each one of those contingent on, be a question for Scott, but.
Scott?
It's however you want to do it. I mean, in other words, you could approve item 9 as a practicality. Item 9 probably doesn't happen if 10 doesn't happen, but at least they'd know that there's not a problem with a liquor store being
Yeah,
affiliated
but
with
it's
a
just more
grocery store.
efficient that if
But it's
if
to
we
your
sit here and listen to
prerogative.
45 minutes about why we shouldn't vote on 9 and we turn down 11, then we just can't get our 45 minutes back.
It's, yeah, there's no required order of these things, but it's between the council and the
Can we
applicant.
go with 11? Let's just go with the,
If there's no objection from the
just
applicant,
go
you
with 11
certainly could
first.
deal with 11 first.
so we're going to go with 11 first. So, you want the audience to be heard for 11, please? This is the 18,000 square foot,
The grocery store.
the grocery store.
We don't have to, if you want, we don't have to read the resolution.
And if they have to bleed over and you use the others, that's fine, so be it.
Kevin Carey, 20237 Sugarloaf Mountain Road. Joe, I agree with you about the signal part. That's one of the comments I had. I didn't hear if that, my idea was taken into consideration or not, which is relocating the traffic signal down to the Point Grand entrance, moving all the traffic out of the Vino and putting it on the developer's property. That would solve the issues that you're talking about. You still have the signal, but where the signal is on Sullivan is on a downhill slope. Whereas you put it up where the Point Grand is, it is at the top of a hill. DOT only allows you half a mile between full signalized intersections, but this is at .41. You're close. If you can make a case for a safety improvement, DOT may consider it. So I just asked that that be considered. I don't know if that was done. That wasn't mentioned.
I think it was done.
Okay.
But they can confirm.
Okay, just wanted
During the
to
comments.
make sure that was confirmed, and they made a case for the safety improvements, not just move the traffic.
Okay.
The other question I had was the proposed buffer that Eric talked about. Does that still work when Vino is widened? The eastbound left, the way I read that, they're talking about having a single left turn lane on Vino Road. In the PM peak, just for number's sake, they have 300 vehicles per hour, making an eastbound left. When you do that in DOT world, that requires a dual left turn. And if they keep it as a single left turn, the queue will be about 312 feet. The neighborhood entrance is at 200 feet from 27. So during the afternoon, you have consistent blockages of the neighborhood entrance if you keep it as a single left turn lane, just for consideration. Just want to at least put that out there. And I think, yep, that was it. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I just want to clarify,
you.
Scott, just because the traffic engineer says 1 or FDOT says 1, we can build 2, correct? We don't have to, we can always exceed what they are, they give us a minimum requirement, correct?
FDOT?
Yes.
Yes.
So we can overbuild roads. We could put 2 turn lanes, even though they said it only warrants 1.
Well, yeah, FDOT, anything coming off of 27, FDOT is going to have their requirements. If
Right,
we
but-
request something
But
that
I'm saying
exceeds that and they're
going
fine
on to
with that.
27, because this was the discussion of having 2 turn lanes, and they said, well, no, it just warrants 1. I'm like, I like the 2 turn lanes because of the stacking, because it's a short turn left, and if it's a long light, you will queue up.
Yeah. Assuming
Tremendously.
FDOT doesn't object to the 2 lanes, if they're
Right.
okay with that, yes, we
Okay,
can certainly
thank you.
require that, yeah.
Okay, anybody else in the audience have any comments on the 18,000 square feet? The grocery store. Just to clarify, this variance is for this to remain a grocery store, so if something happens and this grocery store leaves, it can't be replaced with anything except,
Yeah, the
another
square
grocery.
footage is expressly limited to a grocery store.
and that is a grocery store. It's not a hybrid Ollie's that we've got a little corner that sells food. It's a true grocery store. So thank you.
Kevin Haig, 2080 Malbec. I just want to bring up a thing about the traffic. You guys keep on saying 2 left turns. We have 2 ways to get out and 1 way to get in. Well, 2 ways to get in. Come across and then come in this way on the right-hand turn. When they start this development, we only got 1 right-hand turn and 1 left-hand turn to get out of our community. So when they start this development right here on this square footage, how are we getting out and how are we getting in? Because we only have 1 entrance into our community, which is from the road to our main entrance is probably about, I want to say about roughly 80 feet, if that. So how are we going to get in and out of our community? They got 10 acres on the other side where Collision Colin is, I think it is. that they could use the entrance into the thing and leave the community alone. Because like, our bus stop is right here. The entrance to this community or grocery store is gonna be right here, like right in front of our bus for our community. You know, if you move the entrance to the, whatever you're trying to build here, convenience store, liquor store, whatever, down by the collision place, it doesn't hinder us in our community at all as far as traffic-wise. They're only using Vino Road like 80 feet of it, because the rest of it goes into our community. They're only using 80 feet of it, and then when you start the construction of these turning lanes, how are we gonna get in and out of our community? How is the bus gonna get in and out, you know?
I think you have a construction-only entrance at the bottom. At the bottom is what you would do, Mark. You would only have construction entrance at the bottom. You would not allow construction entrance.
An option, you do that.
You would not have construction, construction traffic would not be able to use Vino Road for this. They would have to use.
But they would still go into the, if they're making deliveries or whatever, they're still gonna come into that community to turn into the development. If you follow what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
If you're on Vino, they're gonna turn in, they're gonna come off, make a right, or come in this way. Come in, then they're gonna turn this way. What's gonna stop 18-wheelers or anything coming in there to deliver stuff into that development? It's one way in, one way out.
And I know it's not your Sherman, but just to say how FDOT works, is they pretty much tell you what we're gonna do. If you come up one more entrance to Oak Valley, there's the parcel that is sitting there right in front of the water plant. That property owner, FDOT will not give them a curb entrance at all to that property. All that property has to go through is through Oak Valley. So for this project, it is you are getting a curb cut off of the road. But for the construction, and I agree, the construction, you just don't allow construction traffic, and the curb cut is the last thing to be done. You can build the whole project and have the curb cut as the last thing on that road. But knowing that there's going to have to be road construction when you widen and put turn lanes in also.
Just one more thing real quick,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's right here in front of City Hall. You guys see how this turn signal is? This turn lane right here, how it backs up this whole road? That's exactly what's gonna happen on the other end down here on Minneola, on the other side, on our end. It's gonna be the same way when we come in and out. This lane is gonna be so backed up. You know, you got people coming off the turnpike, coming this way, you know, not just from Hancock and them. The traffic element of it is the big thing. If you can't figure out the traffic of it, you can't figure out the development of the property. And the proper way to do it is to move it down and leave our community alone. You're only using 80 feet of Vino Road.
Okay.
That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Juan Camacho, 753 Rio Drive. So I live right behind Vino Road, so obviously this is going to impact me very significantly. My colleague expressed, because I'm an attorney too, so I'm just going to, speak to some of the comments that my fellow attorney spoke to that represents the applicant. As far as the Cricket Cannon Hospital projects are concerned, this is apples to oranges. Cricket Cannon Hospital is not right next door to residential property. So you can't mix apples with oranges. The evacuation route, I hear that Highway 27 is evacuation route, but how are we going to get out into that evacuation route? It begs more questions than it resolves. And as far as the less than 1.1, the FAR, I get that. They don't ask for more because they know it's not going to be approved. The points I wanted to make were, first of all, with all the workshops that we've done, the meeting that we've done with the development, and I appreciate the time that they spent with us last Sunday, but I hear nothing about undue hardship. A variance is meant to be hard to get. A variance should not be easy. Undue hardship is what's necessary, and there has not been any affirmative evidence other than to say design considerations to demonstrate that there's undue hardship. Undue hardship has to do with the particularities and the specificities and uniqueness of the land itself. I've heard nothing as to undue hardship. If this is approved, this is development for the sake of development, not development based on a hardship. Second of all, the variance should be the least minimum variance. There could be another grocery store if there's a need for it. Why can't it be 18,000 square feet? Why does it have to be 3 times 18,000 square feet? What's reasonable for the use of the land is not 48,000 square feet. And necessity. I've heard, oh, we need another grocery store in Minneola. That's up to argument. But the thing is that the necessity doesn't require a 47,000 square foot grocery store. Variance should be hard. Undue hardship should be demonstrated. Don't let this be passed by because it will create, one, a slippery slope, and two, the floodgates to make it even harder for residents like us to be able to oppose certain projects. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Stephanie Gonzalez from 2172 Melbit Court. I was just listening to the presentation regarding the bus stop being moved, but that was for Minneola Charter. But there's also another board. There's Lake County Schools.
Mhm.
So where's the bus going for that district?
Thank you.
Richard Del Toro, 1941 Burgundy Drive. My house is the one in the corner, right behind Publix. That's what's going there, right? I know they can't say it, but it's a Publix. My main concern is, you talk about lighting as well. So, well, let me go line by line. Traffic, right? You talk about, before about becoming four corners. By allowing this, you are making this four corners. The difference is there's only 2 lanes in the 27 because up to City Hall, you have 3 lanes, and then it goes into 2 lanes. It doesn't fit. It's today, even coming in the afternoon, like everybody says, at 1:41 p.m., the traffic is backed up from the light because now Citrus Grove is the entrance to the parkway. Those townhouses that you mentioned, those 300 homes and about 80% are gonna make a U-turn, of course, because on that side of the 27, where the district falls of schools, is Lake Minneola High School. It's everything on that side of the county, because on this side of the 27, we go to Groveland for high school, but everybody on that side of the community, because I already spoke to the school board, you're gonna go to Lake. So what are they gonna do? Yes, they do have to make a U-turn. So not maybe 50%, but 80% of those homes, I'm pretty sure they all are family members, they're working class members like us, and they all have children at all different ages. And for the most part, all the school districts are gonna fall south of the 27. That means everybody's gonna make a U-turn. Or they're gonna go through Sullivan, one way or the other. So you wanna make a funnel, you wanna make this huge funnel go down to, it's basically a bottleneck, what we call it, it's a bottleneck. You're creating a bottleneck in our neighborhood, in that 27. That part of the 27 does not have the capacity for what you're asking for. It's literally a bottleneck, because there's only 2 lanes. Four Corners has 6 lanes, 3 and 3, if I'm not mistaken. You're making 4 corners. There's no doubt that's what you're making. You're making 4 corners, but just 2 lanes and 2 lanes. And you're building all these, you're allowing all these residentials, these big box commercials to come in, more gas stations, and according to them, it's to soothe the people in the north. Well, we're not that far away from the city line of Minneola for Groveland, so we're trying to satisfy Groveland more than Minneola, because it's everybody who lives in Groveland to come down south so they can have a supermarket close to them. Because I have 3 Publix in Minneola, and I think some are even falling in Claremont because it passes the city of Minneola. And then the other issue is, real quick, so you talk about, they said about the dark skies. If the dark skies, the light pole has to be about 20 feet, 25 feet, I'm not sure the regulations, but it's gonna be about 25 feet, right, up in the air. That means you're gonna have a spotlight in my backyard, because the backyard of the Publix is my backyard, because they're going to do the construction of this 48,000 square foot in the back of the property, which falls behind all the houses that are aligned in Burgundy Drive, mine's included. So I'm going to have a spotlight now over our properties,
Because if you build above us and you have these light poles, because you need them for the publics, you're lighting our backyards. So what dark skies are you talking about? You're talking about dark skies to their property, not to us. You're lighting up our property. You're making it 24/7 lights on us all the time. Safety concerns for our children, alcohol. We're a community of family members and children raising our children. You're bringing more crime, more drinking and driving, more frequent of being people buying alcohol and being under the influence, close to a residential. I mean, your city is bound for that. You were family oriented. I didn't move here from New York. If I wanted to live like this, I would have stayed in New York, where every inch of the city is taking me. Every day we have to build up because we can no longer build sideways, and that's what you're making this. That we're gonna have to build always up because we can't build sideways because we are taking every corner of property. You're destroying what Minneola really is by allowing this big box. Do we really need another big box less than 2 miles away from itself? You have one on Hancock. Like my coworker said, my companion homeowner says here, yeah, you can have convenience stores. Do we need them this big? Do we really need them this big? It's no favor to me. It is no favor to me or to the homeowners in my community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
I'm Stephanie Gonzalez from 2172 Malbec Court. I know it was mentioned in the past, and I just thought it would be a good idea to bring it up. But I thought I heard something from a few meetings ago about the applicant would possibly look into helping gate our community, helping to prevent strangers from coming in. I didn't know if that was still.
I think with gating the community, it's a little bit more advanced than that. I think, in my opinion, gating the community is not the problem. Is if you gate the community, then you have private roads, and that pretty much forces everybody there for your HOA to go up. Y'all are now responsible for the roads and stuff like that. You just can't gate a community.
I just thought I heard it a few meetings ago that they would look into it. Thank you.
So.
One more.
Go ahead. That's fine.
It's all good.
Christian Maldonado, A62 Vintage Merlot Court. I have a concern about all the locals that they're gonna have in this area, right? I mentioned in one of the meetings that we had about blighted areas. One of my concern is if they're gonna start leasing, they're talking already like they lease most of these ones, right? Like it's approved. But let's say they bring all these contracts and then their businesses doesn't flourish the way that the businesses want it. They leave, they're gonna bring a new person for that local and then probably stays empty for years. We have so many blighted areas in Minneola and Claremont. That brings more criminality or people homeless that they can start breaking into places to find a roof to stay. Those people are gonna end up going into our neighborhood because there's no gate. And personally, I'm not interested in a gate. But those people will start going into our homes, our streets. My street is, once you go through Vintage Merlot, through Vino Road, it's the first cul-de-sac. People are gonna use that cul-de-sac to turn around. The gentleman here once mentioned about the generators for these businesses. Once they go off, like the gas stations, the lines are gonna go through our neighborhood. Because gas is gonna be needed for storms or hurricanes and all that. Once that line starts piling up, where it's gonna end up? So, just that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? bring it back to council for discussion. Pam?
Thank you, everyone who have come forward. I think the one that has really stood out to me was Mr. Juan Camacho. I appreciate your time. I remember the workshop, you did speak. Lots of you guys spoke, actually, and I have a list of those people that did. But my biggest concern are the children, you know, regarding that bus stop, regarding the several buses that are going to be there. It is a safety issue for the children and, of course, the traffic as well. Again, the last gentleman that spoke as well, he spoke about that traffic's going to be ending up in his neighborhood and that cul-de-sac. There's just a lot of issues that, that stand out for me, and that's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Ms. Flynn?
I concur. I had the same issues and concerns as the traffic. We did put an ordinance in for 18,000 square feet for a reason. So there's a lot to consider, and I think if we don't pass this, number 11, I don't have a problem with the gas station because they did move it down further. I don't have a problem with the gas station. It's the grocery store. It's the 18,000 square feet issue that I have.
Councilman Hernandez?
So, a lot of the arguments or discussions that were said, I think the top three, traffic, safety, and lighting. I think that's the consensus. Just want to keep, I want to, especially the neighbors, and mind you, and I can speak from experience, 'cause I live in Parkview next to the Publix, right? So I could see the Publix. If this resolution does not pass, something will be built.
Right.
I guarantee you, something will be built. They alluded to medical buildings. As of now, I believe, Mark, keep me honest, and Scott, they could build up to 3 floors without a variance, 3 stories? So 3 stories. So you will have light coming in with, assuming it's medical, right? Assuming it's medical. With that, we'll have traffic issues. You're gonna build a medical, you're gonna have the same traffic concerns as you will be a grocery store. You are gonna have safety issues, because during a construction site, things get stolen, like there were at the Publix where I live, like in my neighborhood when they were being built, et cetera. So there is that concern regardless of it. And lighting. Like I said, lighting is gonna be there because in a commercial building, they're gonna have their perimeters lit up as well. So regardless of whether this ordinance gets passed or not, something will be built. Unfortunately, we cannot, I would absolutely love to say, no more buildings ever. But then we're gonna get a slew of lawsuits and our city attorney is gonna double his fees, and then we're not gonna be good.
True.
So unfortunately, we can't stop it. What we can do is try to put something that is gonna be beneficial for the community and for the city. I'll be honest, I'm not in agreement with the fuel or the convenience store, because as I mentioned, now there's 3 areas where they can sell alcohol, so I'm not in agreement with that, nor am I in agreement with the alcohol sale, because right now, the closest place that someone can purchase alcohol from Lake County Prison is 2.55 miles. If this is built, that's gonna cut it by half to 1.58 miles. So I'm not in favor for that, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. However, for the variance, Minneola put in a variance of 18,000 square feet, not necessarily to stop anything over 18,000 square feet, but to put a stopgap and say, okay, is this something that's needed? Is this something that's wanted? You all know what's, of course, happening literally in my backyard with the Sam's Club and Walmart. They're asking for 250,000 square feet times 2. And I originally asked in the beginning, what is the square footage of the Publix on Hancock, and it's roughly the same amount. And I'm sure we've all been there, we've all shopped there, and that's something that we all like. I guarantee you that if it is Publix, if it passes, I will see each and every one of you there, mostly because of convenience. Living behind Publix, fairly, I could see it from my second story. There is no, again, from experience, there is no noise concerns. I don't hear them at all. Lighting is actually done very well, so I don't get light pollution in my backyard. And I'm on top of the ridge, so I'm actually above the houses. There's 2 blocks, so. I get annoyed with the Papa John's sign that I see every night. It makes me want to hate Papa John's. But I do not see any Publix signs. I don't have any issues with that Publix. My wife loves it, especially when we're missing cinnamon and she's baking something. So we have to keep that in mind. If not this, then what? I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather see a Publix here, because Publixes do actually bring good to the community. Not only do they employ a lot of good people, but they actually bring benefits to us. We could discuss their produce, probably not the best around there, but overall, I'd rather see a Publix there than a medical building or another commercial spot. We already have plenty of that, and we're gonna be getting plenty more. And also keep in mind that, I know you said that there are Publixes everywhere around as well, and I agree, but the new Publix that was built next to my house is already at capacity. And that's coming straight from the general manager. And yeah, when it first opened, it was great. It was me and 5 other people, and it was amazing. Now I'm seeing queues up even on the self-checkout. So I can see it. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. We can sit here and say, no developer, yay, we're gonna deny this. They're gonna come back, and if not them, they're gonna sell the land and come back with a medical. Or even worse, live local. I want you to keep that in mind as well. That's a lot of live local apartments in 21 acres. I'm not saying that's what they're gonna do. I'm not saying that's something that's even thought of. But if that does happen, we can say absolutely nothing. So it's almost the devil you know and the devil you don't. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Saunders.
Not everybody was here when the neighborhood you live in was approved. It was a problem at that time. The problem was 27 is a commercial corridor, and somehow, many, many years ago, long before even Pat Kelly and I came close to this council, they approved that area that you live in as residential. We never could understand that. Sorry, we didn't understand that at all. We tried to get the developer, his name was Pierre Masson. We tried to get Pierre to build an entry of his own to get into the community, and the DOT wouldn't approve it. So he had to come in through Sullivan Road, what you call Verde Road. We thought long and hard about restricting your development so that commercial property would be in front of your development. And then we turned that down. We didn't want to mix commercial in front of your development that you're in now. So we said, we're going to have to concentrate on the development that comes in south of you. When that development comes in, we're going to have problems. We're going to have problems sharing the road, sharing the entrance, getting people in and out of both your development and the commercial property. We labored over that for hours, and we ended up with no solution. So your development was approved. But when we improved your development, we knew very well, right next door to you was going to be commercial property. And that commercial property, that lot, was going to be big enough for people to do basically what these people want to do. Unfortunately, we ended up with you here, and you have a very nice neighborhood, but it's right next to commercial property, and you're right on the commercial corridor. Now, it seems like everybody who moves into Minneola says, now that I'm here, I don't want anything else around me. I hear that. I've been hearing that for 15 years, probably longer. I don't care to think back too far. But there's a lot we can't do. As Councilman Hernandez said, we can't say, you can't use that property. They own that property. Somebody owns that property. So what they do is they come and present a plan to the council and say, this is what we'd like to do. And we go through this process. And it's a long process. And believe it or not, sometimes they never come back. We never see them again. And I can name 5, at least 5, projects that went that way. And the land is empty to this day. However, what these people said at the workshop was, if we can't put in what we have planned, the people that we have planned will start dropping out. Is that a reasonable quote? I think I heard that correctly. If you start taking away the exceptions, we don't have a plan. That's what they're saying. So if they walk away, then we get the Hernandez example. God knows what'll happen. And what we're trying to do with the city is get the best out of everything we can. I personally don't have a problem with the liquor store, personally. I don't drink alcohol, and I haven't almost my entire life. I had a few beers at my high school graduation. It made me sick, and I never went back for any more. That was a long time ago. So I don't profess to put standards out for other people. So I know people drink alcohol, and I don't have a problem with a liquor store. If 5 restaurants go in there and they all get liquor licenses, we can control that. The state issues the liquor licenses. If in fact 5 tattoo parlors want to be there, we got a city code preventing 5 tattoo parlors from being there. And we have other city codes that prevent other things, but we can't prevent everything. And a decent grocery store is not all that bad. It's nice to have a grocery store. I wouldn't mind having an Aldi's close by. I mean, I like it. I shop there sometimes when I'm not shopping at stupid Walmart, the big box store. But I'm used to what's around here. When I moved here, there were a lot less people and a lot of orange groves. But we can't stop the growth of this city. We just cannot do it. You think we can. Well, let's not do this. Let's not do that. I heard this afternoon, I heard one of my neighbors say, don't allow a Walmart here. Go get a Kroger's. We can't do that. We can't go and pick what we want. And if I said to him, would you mind if I went up on your taxes by 20 or 30% and I'll go up and pay Kroger's to come here and build a building? No, I don't want to pay for it. It's a beautiful store. Why wouldn't they want to come here? If it was so easy to put people up there, SunTerra, the developer of the hills, would have come up with all the people that they put in the plan. It was a nice plan. We approved it, and it disappeared. Same thing could happen here. So we could fight about this until death, and then one day, it's gone. It's not even here. So we don't know. But a gas station is not a bad thing. I live right behind the gas station that's up at the corner here. Yeah, there's litter along the road. I hear that from other neighbors about the racetrack. You approved the racetrack, and people leave the racetrack and throw cups in my yard. I've heard that many times. And people tend to be messy sometimes. They throw stuff all over the place. And with a little bit of luck, somebody comes and picks it up. So, unfortunately, gas stations are not churches. We don't have any of those to speak of. We put them in strip malls, and hopefully they would build a church, but they never seem to do that. So ideally, we got to get the best out of this we can, and I don't think a gas station is a bad thing. I don't think a liquor store is such a bad thing. I don't think a grocery store is such a bad thing. But if this looks good, and we'll be looking for the looks, the appearance, and the site plan when they come for their site plan. But first, they got to design it. the people asking for these exceptions may not even own the land. They may intend to buy the land if in fact they can get these exceptions and they can design it into the property. Then the next step will be construction after that. So personally, I can't say let's stop everything. I would have said 25 years ago, let's stop building homes. And we wouldn't have all these problems, but that didn't happen. So I apologize if I vote to accept these things, but I don't think they're detrimental to the area in general. I'm not happy with your entrance. I wasn't happy when that development was approved. I'm not happy with it now. But I did ask for the school buses to come into your development, and I asked Pierre, the developer, to make the entrance big enough so the school bus could come in and turn around and go out.
I remember that.
Exactly.
Did that happen? I went up there and looked when they were building it, and I said, yeah, I could probably get in and out of here, but nonetheless, the school bus can go all the way around. But we don't tell the school board what to do either. They do whatever they want. It's not part of the city. So unfortunately, things come together in a confluence that says we can't solve every problem, we can't solve the U-turns, we can't solve the traffic lights. Yeah, if we were an extremely wealthy city and could get a lot of money from somebody, maybe we could solve all these problems. But some of them we're going to have to live with. And unfortunately, we can't say no to everything, unfortunately. Amen.
And again, I'm just piggybacking off of what you were saying, Joe. I mean, yeah, we can say no to we're blue in the face, but you have made a very, I hate to hear it, but you've made a good point that if we say no to this, we could get a medical building there and it would be 10 times worse than what is proposed to us now. And that is my biggest fear, is to, if we don't accept this, what you end up getting would be way worse. But I will say, for me, if I'm going to go ahead and approve this, we need to reevaluate the safety of the children, that the lighting and so on and so forth, because that I cannot stomach if something was to happen to a child just because we approve this.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a couple of responses to those, and they really apply to all three, so I only have to say them once, and I can just stand up and say ditto or something. Right. If you don't mind, 2 minutes? Right. Thank you. I'm going to get the hard stuff out of the way quick, and that's the legal stuff. We have positive staff recommendations from your planner on all three of these. The staff recommendation goes through every criteria that is to be evaluated, and evaluated them to be consistent with the LDRs and the comprehensive plan, and recommended approval of all three with the conditions that we agreed to. We have 3 PEs, we have architects, and we had a traffic engineer on this project. That's the competent, substantial evidence that's in front of you for about 85% of this. The neighbors absolutely are qualified to testify about factual matters that are not subject of expert testimony. When you have transportation, traffic, there's very good cases on point that say if it's capable, if it's in your code or it's capable of expert analysis, then that's the competent, substantial evidence. Neighbors can talk about their quality of life. They can talk about safety of their kids. They can talk about all that stuff. And we really believe we've been over backwards for that, and we'll try elsewhere as well. On traffic, just to finish up, the state even went further for for traffic and has said in, oh, come on, Jimmy. I'm sorry. 163-3185H, Florida statutes, is the transportation concurrency statute. And it says that if we do a traffic study, if that traffic study indicates needed improvements, and that's needed improvements that the traffic engineers go through and say, yep, we got to have 2 left turns here, not just 1 to do it. We offer our proportional share, which we actually have offered more than that for most of these improvements. We've offered to do them. Then a local government cannot turn us down based on traffic. You can't make us pay for the sins of the accumulated masses, which is how we've got into this big mess. I don't say that out of any disrespect. I don't mean it at all. I serve on some local boards and get very frustrated by state preemptions all the time. Uses that would be allowed. I just looked quickly at B1. The allowed uses include coin laundry. There's a neighborhood enhancement. Maintenance contractor, manufactured home sales, and of course, office and medical office, as well as retail and restaurant. So it is true that something's going to go there. It may not be my clients. They may have to go away and sell it or do something different. Lastly, we've talked about the gas station, and that's what needs the special exception use, not the beer and wine sales. So you can, we don't need an SCU for a convenience store or for beer and wine sales. We only need it for the gas. Now, I'm not saying a convenience store will go in there without gas. We're not sure. They used to, but it's not a good model for them now. Citrus Grove Publix has a liquor store beside it and 4 out parcels that all of which could sell beer and wine and or full liquor if they had their full liquor restaurant license. I stop at the Publix liquor store on Highway 50 sometimes going home, and I don't think I've ever gotten my bottle of Jack Daniels and cracked it in the car and drank it in the parking lot. I don't feel like that's a viable reason to say we don't want a liquor store there. The lighting, again, that's a code and an expert. We have engineers that determine whether the lighting plan, and 1 lumen at the property line is your limit. You cannot approve a site plan if it shows 1.5 lumens going off the site. So it's there, and we've gone above and beyond that and said we'll comply with dark sky standards. We want the 2 left turn lanes from Vino. We'll try. It was a comment from the city's reviewing traffic engineer, and I believe it was also a comment from DOT. The construction traffic limit of the southern entrances, again, with DOT's permission, that's something that we're fine with. The children in the bus stop, I completely get that. Ms. Service, I've never even killed a gopher tortoise. I certainly don't want to do a child. So I don't know if it's lighting, if it's moving the other bus stop, which we don't have control over, but we can ask. Any of those kind of things we're happy to do. And that's the long and short of it. And we do have our whole traffic engineer here. If you want to talk to him about why this is proposed and why this isn't proposed, that's out of my league, but I'm more than happy to have him come up and discuss it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Crawford, I do have a question for you.
Certainly.
Now, you alluded, they said that you've been to the liquor store, Publix, to buy. As have I.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of bourbon, so
Guilty.
absolutely.
Yep.
So you would go to a Publix liquor store, but would you go to a Walmart, grocer, neighborhood market liquor store?
Ooh, I don't know the answer to that. I've never been to one. I've been in one Walmart neighborhood market. I don't see why I wouldn't, but I'm kind of a Publix guy, sorry.
So, can you say what type of grocer is gonna be in that parcel?
I can tell you that it's
Well, hold up, before you answer that, can I
I would
ask that?
prefer not to, because if it comes up to another answer, I'll have to recuse myself from a vote. So
And-
you've got a choice
And
there.
I do not know, and the client is under a non-disclosure agreement, so we can't. It's a major national chain, that's really all I can say.
Right, so, just for, and I'm not gonna ask.
You can go either way, I'm just saying.
No, no, I understand. So, based on my research, and I could be wrong, based on my research, there's 3 types of grocers that have the same footprint with a drive-through pharmacy and a liquor store attached to it, which is Kroger, Publix, and neighborhood Walmart. Kroger typically doesn't have a presence in South Florida, they just do home delivery.
Right.
So that leaves us Publix and Walmart neighborhood market.
Well, Winn-Dixie too.
Is Winn-Dixie even still around?
Yeah, they have a liquor store right next door.
They're not building anymore.
They're not building anymore. I think they sold to Fresco, so.
Right.
So that leaves us with 2. Now, we've been sold, or earlier we said that it could be a Publix. But I just want to let the public know that we do not know what it's
Right.
gonna be.
We do not.
We do not.
And I would correct, they said Publix was within 2 miles. The staff report says both the other Publixes are a little more than 3 miles away, which I represented Publix before, and I know that sort of is kind of their criteria, but I'm speculating, and I shouldn't, because I have
Right.
no idea.
Sure. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're all available anytime. I'm going to sit down.
Okay, that's fine. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to make one more comment. You know, it's tough sitting up here and you hear all the, my constituents talking, and then your mind starts to getting wondering, what, to Mr. Hernandez's point, if this doesn't go in, what will go in? And when you mentioned a 2 to 3 story medical building, I'm thinking, oh boy. That's gonna, what if those don't fill up? Or what if they're super busy and now you've got really 2 and 3 story
Double traffic.
Double traffic. And then to another point, my house, I have Publix right in front of me. And when Claremont decided to build that, I'm in Minneola, but when Claremont decided to build that Citrus Tower Publix, all of my neighborhood came out, griped and moaned and didn't want that grocery store. But I guarantee you, all 800 of those homes have been to that Publix. I guarantee you. And we, it is busy, and there is one road out, to our, to the Publix from my subdivision. But I guarantee you, everybody's been to that Publix. But to Mr. Hernandez, I wouldn't want to see a medical building there. It was something to think about.
Any other comments?
Safety, that's it. That's my biggest concern.
Can I, ready for a motion? Can I get a motion? We're going to go ahead and go with, Scott, we're going to go and go with item 11, resolution, variance B1, maximum building square footage. We all agree on that one? Any final input from anyone before we I ask for a motion? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve item 11, resolution 2025-05, variance B1, maximum building square footage, and we'll be doing a roll call voting, starting with seat 1.
And I would recommend that any motion, although there are a number of conditions that are in the resolution itself, we haven't gone through that in depth tonight, but I would suggest that if there is a motion, that it be approved subject to the staff comments and conditions and contingent on site plan approval consistent with those conditions. Okay. I mean, just to give you an example, the resolution specifically says that it's conditioned upon at site plan, traffic generation and access for the proposed use shall not adversely impact the adjoining properties and the general public safety. Major site plan review and approval by the city will be required consistent with those conditions prior to any use of the property. So the safety and things that have been.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't hurt to say it twice.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Again, I call for a motion for approval, please. we at least get it on the table to vote? If just because you make a motion doesn't mean you have to support it, but it will make a definitive answer, is that?
So moved.
Okay. So we have a motion for approval.
Subject to staff comments. and
Subject to
conditions.
staff, et cetera, et cetera.
Conditions on the site
Site plan
plans.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. We're going to go through another roll of discussion before we vote. Again, it'll be a roll call vote, starting with seat number 1 for any final comments. Unfortunately, at this time, public comment is closed. Any final comments? Are we voting last?
Are we going to go in order?
No, yeah, the mayor's
Yeah.
last.
Yeah,
The
aye.
mayor's last.
Aye.
Aye.
Are you voting for it?
Yes.
Voting for it?
Aye.
Voting for it?
Aye.
Voting for it?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So it passes for the 18,000 square feet. Okay, now we're moving to, we're going to open it back up for item number 9 for the special exception for on-site alcohol consumption. It's already been approved for this one. Now we'll go to the next one. If there's anybody who would like to speak on item number 9, please come forth at this time. If not, we'll move to vote. Any comments anybody would like to make before we make a motion?
So we need to.
Okay. With that said, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there any footnotes you want to add to this?
Same conditions as the last, yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
First and a second. Seat number 1, Vice Mayor.
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Pass 3-2.
3-2. Thank you. Okay, exception convenience store with fuel operations. With that said, can anybody from the audience want to speak on this?
And it is worth noting on that item that the location is expressly the southern entrance, not as originally proposed up at the Vino Drive or whatever it was, so. That would be a condition of the approval, that it's moved to
Right.
the south.
Okay.
With that said, anybody in the audience wants to vote on, speak on this? If not, we'll bring it back for a motion for approval. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Got a motion?
With,
Say-
yep.
With inspired.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
First and a second. Chair, seat number 1, any further discussion? Anything? Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Debbie?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
And the chair votes nay. So motion carries 3-2. With that said, wastewater treatment plant construction manager at risk.
City, the staff are requesting approval to hire a construction manager at risk in order to facilitate the expansion of the wastewater plant. Hiring a construction manager at risk will cost a little more money, but they will be able to come in at an early stage and hopefully value engineer some of the work that's being done as it's being designed. And as it's being designed, and also it would allow us to hopefully speed up the project. So we did go out for bid. Several companies went out and inspected the site. We did end up with one bid, though, and based on their experience, our engineering firm feels like they'll do a good job. Vogel Brothers Building Company.
Who is it?
Vogel Brothers Building Company.
Yeah.
What was the quote?
The amount is a percentage of the project.
And this was an RFQ, is a request for qualifications. So if you approve this, it would be subject to city manager and attorney review and contract approval. And frankly, that contract will come back to you for approval. This just moves us forward to work with them to do the contract.
This is for, to Scott's point, request for qualifications. As part of that, they did not submit a price, but it will be a percentage of the job.
Excuse me, sir. We've got a deputy in the back. So we've got somebody going out there.
Okay.
Okay. Scott, can you catch it? Where are we at? I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying, this was a request for qualifications. There was only one bidder, but staff has gone through and deemed them qualified. There is no set price. It'll be a percentage of the ultimate project, and frankly, that'll all be spelled out in a contract that will come back to you, kind of like what we'll be doing with Trailhead Park, where you approve moving ahead, but then we have to work out the contract. So if you would be approving, it would be subject to city manager and attorney review and subsequent contract approval, so.
Thank you.
I do agree, and I think staff recommends approval with those conditions.
Okay. Anybody in the audience have any comments? Bring it back. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mark?
Just a reminder of the 9/11 Remembrance Day this Thursday, September 11th, not this Thursday, but next Thursday at the May Griffith Gazebo area, Heroes Memorial Park. There's an applicant who'd like to have a workshop to discuss a project, and we're just asking for some dates that the council would be available to have a workshop to discuss a project on Highway 27.
A workshop for what?
To discuss a project that's being proposed on Highway 27.
When's that date, I'm sorry?
It's up to you guys.
He wants us to pick.
The applicant would like to have a workshop with
You
you
get an
guys.
idea of where the project's at?
It is, it's near the Live Local area on that side of the highway.
Can you give us any more information?
I don't remember what's being proposed, but it's a project that's owned by an engineering firm, and they're wanting to do a mix. Some of it's gonna be commercial, some of it will be residential.
Is this the one that Major was representing?
It's happening. It's across the street from,
Yeah.
it's next to where the Popeyes was supposed to go.
Are we talking about what he had presented in the past?
He did present it at one time, some
Has
time
it
ago.
changed any?
It's changed.
Okay. And that's why we're doing a workshop?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no. Here.
They're calling it Minneola Commerce Park.
Yeah. As another case of, we went through all of this.
Twice.
And then it disappeared. Now it's coming back.
Changed.
Okay. Commissioner Hernandez graciously pointed out that I forgot final public comment. If there's anybody in the audience that has any final public comment, I apologize. Please come forth and say whatever you'd like to say.
For something that's not on the agenda.
That's not on the agenda.
Anything, if you've got anything, if there's anything you'd like to say, any final comments?
Just as a quick comment, right? I agree on the development, right? I agree we have to grow. That's part of nature, it's part of us, it's how we are, it's how the world works. We can't stay behind. We're not asking that. What we're asking for is to put some accountability to the developer, right? Some type of structure, some type of some type of accountability is, I guess it's the correct word, because we do have to live there and we have to live with them or whoever they put there. Because by just approving without any type of
of structure or any type of accountability, they'll come back, they'll ask for one thing, and then again, once they get to something approved, I know they have to come back, but now it's just easier, right? Once you get one thing approved, it's just
Not that easy, though. It really isn't. Just from experience, it really isn't. We just have a little bit more control over it.
When you come from a city as big as I have, right?
So have I.
Okay, so they make mistakes all the time after the construction starts. We counted on for 20,000 cars, whatever. Now we've got like 50,000 cars. My point is, we're building, and we're not foreseeing the future. You want to talk about future? Let's plan for future and not plan for tomorrow. Let's plan for future so that things do roll smoothly, right? Better access to our exit and entrance.
Smart growth. That's really what it's called. It's smart growth.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's my point, because we gave them all this permissions now, right? Now we have to hold them accountable, right? Make sure the city holds them accountable to make sure that our entrance is correctly done, and that not in 2 years from now, because this is not going to happen tomorrow. This will probably happen within a year and a half. That we're all saying, we should have done this, and that, and then now it's too late because we gave them all the leeway. We didn't hold them accountable for. We weren't on top of them to make sure that the same way you guys came to my home the day of my closing to tell me that I could not get the certificate of occupancy because you wanted a retaining wall in the middle of my property to approve KB to give me a CO. That's what I'm expecting from this committee. We voted you here, and remember that we voted you here, and that's what we want. We want accountability. You want growth? Okay, we're gonna go with the growth, right? But I want accountability on them. Make sure they're doing the right things, because I've been around a lot of construction. Things happen, and a little talk here, a little talk here. Oh, don't worry, I'll smooth his hand so you can get this done. No, hold accountability. Hold them to this. Hold them to the highest standard. And if you hold them to the highest standard, I think we can all live with that, right? We can accept the growth in the city, but hold them to a higher standard. And holding them to a higher standard, it just makes it a lot easier. And instead of letting them run loose, of course. It's to my point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to discuss all three. I'm going to discuss the one that we all voted unanimously, I believe, which is for the 18,000 square feet. You bring up a good point, which is plan for the future. Similar to where you lived in New York, I lived in Miami, which is disaster.
This is bad.
One of the biggest pain points that Miami encountered was lack of infrastructure and lack of convenience for its residents. Infrastructure, you can't do anything about it. It is what it is down there. But when you plan for the future, one thing that we're looking at, again, just taking into account the 18,000 square feet, is when all these houses are built, again, houses that were approved well before many, many years ago, where are they going to do their grocery shopping? Which, in my opinion, is one of the basic necessities for any resident, just like safety, fire, food is a necessity. So my idea behind that was, do we need one tomorrow? No, we don't. Are we going to need one 5 years from now when all of a sudden you have all these apartments and houses? You are. Right. And like I said, I feel for you. I see Papa John's every day at night when I go outside.
So does my uncle here. He's probably your neighbor.
Yeah. So I understand where you're coming from, right? And I understand that when you're so hyper-focused on one item, right? You have your horse blinders. You don't care about anything else because it's your piece of heaven that you want to protect. And I get that. I totally do. And that's what's hard for us up here is that as much as we want to be on your side, of any resident side, we have to think for the future of the city. And sometimes we get it wrong, 100%. But we get a lot of blame put on us when all we're doing is trying to think what's going to happen 10, 15 years from now.
Correct.
Yeah, which is why I voted again. I voted yes for that grocery store, not so much for the variance, because I think a grocery store is much better suited there than a 3-story medical campus with God knows what's going to go in there.
Agreed.
Yeah, the gas station and the liquor store, I have my reasons, but like I said, I'm not going to discuss that since we didn't vote unanimously on that. So, point being is that, again, I think I can speak for myself with the rest of council. We do look for the future. We do look to see what's happening and where we're going to be in 10, 15 years. And again, a grocery store, given the facts that the Hancock one is at capacity, the one in Citrus Grove is at capacity, we have to plan for that. So we would have voted no for this. Who knows when the next grocery store would have come in. Like I said before, who knows what else it could have brought, right?
Mhm.
Are we gonna know if that was the right decision? Get back to us in 15 years, we'll let you know.
Right.
But we only can make decisions with the information we have that's known
Right,
at hand.
and that's to my point. It's, let's make sure we hold them accountable, right? Make sure we're on top of them, make sure they're not doing what they want, because it can be easily be done,
Yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah,
But,
sorry, one more thing. Keep in mind that we just approved the variances, so
Right.
to
It-
your
it
point, they have to
takes-
come back for site plan and all that. So that's where we
Right.
could really put more of those limitations. This was just, it gives them the ability now to start the next process, so we can come back. And we also shoot them down the first time, which we will, and then they'll come back and, we'll
Right.
take it from there.
And that's just the point. Like I
If I-
said, growth is gonna happen, that does, but let's plan, especially the traffic, right? I know a lot of it has to do with DOT, the Florida Department, but like the mayor said, if we can improve even better, or other things, or add other things to make it better, then let's try it, right? It's try to make things better for everybody. Regardless, traffic is gonna be, like he says, it's gonna be, I don't wanna use the word, but it's gonna be bad, for a good word, right? It's gonna be real messed up, and, well, I will have to live with it, but,
If I may, I just want to, because I didn't really speak and say anything, but I just kind of let my counsel, because I will I'm stepping away after this term. I've been here for 18 years. I've watched this grow. A lot of these ordinances that are in place are because I brought them out. I brought the 18,000 square foot. There was a reason for it. It wasn't because I didn't want big buildings, I didn't want grocery stores. It's because I've watched lack of control. There was supposed to be at Bella Colina, really nice shopping, and now there's car dealerships. It was to start the car dealerships. The thought of the 18,000 is I wanted Minneola to be a place that residents would live and they would find their services here. So a grocery store is something that somebody's going to use every week. A car store, they're going to use every 5 years if they can. So basically, that was the reason for the 8,000. It wasn't to stop it, it was to put a speed bump in place.
right.
We've made mistakes, and I've made mistakes. I also put the gas station one in place too. I believe that was, we raised Ken on that one, because I think there's enough gas stations. The reason I think there's enough gas stations going southbound that you don't need another one. You need one at 561A. That's always been the vision to go there. So there's been thoughts to doing this. If this would have come in for Claremont, they wouldn't have had to ask for a variance for the grocery store, and they wouldn't have had to ask for a variance for the business. So those are the controls that we've put in place here. Now we've missed things, and I've missed things. One of the things I missed was years ago, across from where the workforce housing, or whatever we want to call it, is going, we had a really nice subdivision like yours, wanted to go there. The Ladd brothers came in, they wanted half-acre tracts, and we're like, absolutely not. And we said no, and now this is what we're getting because we said no. So we kind of got caught between a rock and a hard place on that. Another thing that I missed, and I hear about it all the time, is, yeah, we did approve the Publix, was here. Mr. Hernandez wasn't here. But we very easily could have said, Papa John's, you can't put a sign on the side of the building. And we could have limited that. So I'm not going to be here. Eric's going to be here. I know Debbie's going to be here. Pam might be here. We learn as we grow. So as this development comes in place, I can guarantee it, speaking on Eric's behalf, he will make sure that lighting in your neighborhood, that you don't deal with the same things that he deals with. And for the part of 27 being 4-lane, it's a short time. It's going to be 6 and it's going to be 8. It eventually, if you look here, it stopped at 561A. It's going to get widened. I'm kind of envious of you because you have the grocery store and it's not a bad thing. I live right next to the John Deere tractor dealership and the Moose Lodge. My house backs up to the parcel between 27 and those houses. I back up to it. When I step away from it, I have no idea what I'm going to get one day. I could get apartments because it's in the county. I could get affordable housing. I could get anything. It's a scary thought to knowing what you're going to get. I think you're getting something good. I hope so. But you're going to have to stay on top of it. And, you know, when you come to site plans, there's a lot of questions I have, and that's what I met with Scott previous to these. There's a huge elevation. I mean, it's like freaking Mount Rushmore behind those houses going up that hill. So my questions, and it wasn't for the discussion to hear, now they have the rights, is like, somebody explain to me this cut and fill stuff, because you can only take X amount of feet off. And if you go X amount of feet, you still got a lot of feet there. How are they gonna fill this? How is this gonna get level? I think the site plan of that project is gonna be tremendous. You know, they're gonna have to move a lot of dirt to get that to a buildable area, because it's a very two-dimensional piece. I struggle with it even being done. I see things two-dimensional, looks good. That land is a freaking roller coaster back there.
Right.
So, and I know we have ordinances here, and obviously you know that we don't allow 6 foot, we don't allow anything over 6 foot tall retaining walls. So we're very strict on our retaining walls. How they're gonna make this site work is gonna be interesting. It might not work. So I'm sure they're gonna come back and they're gonna have to make some adjustments, but how in the world, honestly, the highest point on that property is retention pond? I have no freaking idea.
Right.
Because water does not run uphill. But they have the ordinance. Let's see what they can do with it, because there's a lot of challenges ahead of for this project.
When KB built the homes on that level, according to KB, I'm quoting what they're telling me, and that's not what that the city made them put that berm behind our property, which is why my hill is so tall. But the problem is all the water now flows, and that's why you made them put that wall behind my property.
My humble opinion
And
my humble opinion is the developer didn't want to pay to have the dirt. He owned all the parcels. He didn't want to pay to have the dirt removed, because it's expensive to remove dirt when you can just go dump it onto the next parcel next to you.
Right. And I think, and it's out of your control, of course. I think the most frustration of all of us, right, out of all the homeowners, is the developer, of course, lied to us, right? And they straight out lied forward, because when the way they sold my property was, you have a burn there, you're never gonna have a neighbor. These were his exact words.
Yeah.
You will never have a neighbor. That burn will never go down because the city says it's required, and so you'll never be able to see whoever's on the other side of the burn, which is of course now a lie, because according to everything that's going on, from my property line, all they need is 20 feet.
And when it comes to the site plan, let's look at it when it comes in. If there needs to be some other notifications, we can work with that. But
Like I said,
yeah,
and I agree, and that's why I said, let's, but now that it's all said and done, I want the city to please hold them accountable for it, right? Hold them to the higher standard. They want to build this, okay, but now let's hold them to the highest standard. Let's not make, not saying that, we're not going to be the bullies, right? But
no,
let's go correctly with the standards that have to be put in place.
No, you can call us some bullies.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I've
was
been
just
called
say,
bullies
if we
at KB.
have to be, we have to be then.
Right.
You know, and that's one thing that I'll say from being on council for so many years. You learn the ins and outs. You know from experience what to expect, what not to expect, and when you say hold them accountable, by all means, 10-4, I hear you loud and clear, because I've been there. And bullies, it is what it is.
As the mayor, I can tell you one of my deals I did is when KB was being built, was I on that property 3 times a week? I was having to spend every morning out on KB's property because you had dumpsters in the wrong places. They were building and they were just throwing stuff there. I mean, yes.
Right, and that's what I mean, because
But
once
the
the
point is,
construction
it needs to
starts-
carry on.
Correct.
And so, as the next regime comes in, those people, office up here, has to go out and look, and you've listened to Mr. Hernandez talk about the projects here. We're out looking at the projects. You spend every day, as a mayor, I spend every day looking at the projects, finding out where they are, complaining to Mark, getting in arguments with developers. But that's the responsibility to protect your future residents.
It's our job.
So, but yes, that's what, keep us posted.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Anyone else have any final comments? Now you gotta get.
Cheryl Pavlaka, 1808 Cary Street. I want to thank the council for their input and their patience with all the questions. And I want to warn the residents, similar to what Councilor Hernandez said, a lot of our ordinances here were put in place to protect us and protect our country-like living, but their hands are tied. I mentioned SB 180. That can be disastrous to cities and the county. I mentioned Live Local Act. Councilman Hernandez brought that up. We may be forced by the state of Florida, not the county, not the city, to put in something that we don't like on that property. From what I've heard from all the council members, I believe you can trust them that they'll do the right thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. And now we return to our regularly scheduled programming. Mark? Anything else?
Again, what's a good date for you all to have a workshop?
Sorry.
I had my calendar.
Pick a
What
Tuesday.
was this on? I got this.
30th?
Tuesday, the 30th
Yes.
is good for me.
Yeah.
Is it good for y'all? For you all?
The 30th, everyone good with that?
Yeah, sure.
Eric?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the date that I said, yes, ma'am, I'm good.
I just want to make sure it's
Okay,
good.
thank
You
you.
might have said the date, but I don't know if it's good.
I got it, thanks.
Got it? Okay, good.
Anything else for Applin's project, for Major's property?
6:30?
Oh, okay.
Yes, 6:30, 9:30 at 6:30.
Pam, that's September 30th at 6:30 PM, in case you.
That'll be a Tuesday, Eric.
Yes, 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 ma'am.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank
I
you.
have one question. That is Eastern Standard Time, correct?
It is Eastern
Yes,
Standard
I
Time.
believe it is -6 Greenwich time.
Thank you. Okay. Synchronized watches now.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, Mark?
Staff went out and inspected some of the trees that were brought up, especially at the Minneola Athletic Complex.
They butchered them.
They did, they believe that they can maybe do some things to make them look nice, shorter removal, but again, if it's,
To find, like, make topiaries out of them? Small giraffes
Maybe.
and elephants?
maybe, yeah.
Um,
But if they can't,
That I think we need to really think of our ordinances about where we put trees underneath power lines. Because we're gonna have it on Grassy Lake Road, because they put a bunch of pine trees underneath the power lines there too. It's just something that, mainly on 27, we need to think about it. I mean, Hancock is not a problem because it's all underground utilities, but that does seem to be a problem.
we emailed the League of Cities, the Lake League of Cities, about a sunshine law workshop. We did not hear back from them, so I called Jim, and he said he was at a conference and spoke with the State League, and they're working on some things. They're very excited about the possibility of doing that.
Okay.
What those things are, I don't know. I don't know if it's a full 4-hour course or something different, but that's all he could tell me at the time. So we're hopefully moving forward towards something like that. Also, just a reminder, there's a special council meeting on the 11th at 6:30 for budget time.
What was that?
The September the 11th at 6:30.
Week from Thursday.
That's budget meeting.
Yeah, it had to be then because we can't have a day that conflicts with the county commission meeting or the school board meeting. We go through this every year,
Yeah, but we've always managed to like work it
We've
out.
always gotten lucky. Well, last several years we've been lucky that we didn't have to adjust our council meeting, but this is the only, it has to link up with the ads and everything.
That's fine.
so, yeah.
It is what it is. Okay.
The second meeting, I think, is gonna be on the 16th, which is the regular council night. So this is the only odd meeting we've got.
16th of September?
So September 11th at 6:30.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unusual to have it that
Eric,
within
that's a
the period.
Thursday.
16th I can.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Second vote.
Second one I can.
18th later.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have nothing for the city manager. Thank you.
Nothing for the city manager.
Nothing, thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Scott?
Mark mentioned the special meeting on the 11th. The other thing is I have not forgotten the election issues discussion, I think, that we've talked about in the past. Purposely didn't put it on tonight's agenda because we anticipated this needed a full discussion. So
Okay.
But I'm thinking we can put it on the next agenda. What I was gonna do is literally have a discussion item, include in the packet the sections of the charter that are relevant. We can just go over whatever questions and
I have a,
situations you
I have a chart of dates that you can validate. I've already created, like, if you do it now, it's a special election. If you do it now, then it's an appointment. This is when you have to register by, this is where your conflicts are.
Good. If you've got that, we can even use that as potentially to go over.
But it's just more of like, well, no, it's more for you to validate than it is.
Okay. All right. Anyway, but we'll bring that, doesn't preclude having questions any other time, but we'll
I
openly
can
discuss
forward that
it.
to you ahead of time, so you can check my math, because I'd rather you tell me it's wrong.
It's wrong. Put a note here, get mayor's dates.
Okay.
Hey, good job to y'all tonight. Also, the public don't see what I see, but I know y'all wrestle with these decisions. I know it keeps you up at night. And I know you're doing your very best to do what's best for the long-term health of the city. Nobody envies y'all having to make those decisions when you have people that are for and against, but I know how hard you worked at it, and you did a good job.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Anything from Scott?
Nothing
thank
for
you,
Scott,
Scott.
thank you.
Okay. Anything, Pam?
No, I don't have anything.
Anything, Debbie?
Yes, just want to let you all know that I'll be on vacation September 10th through the 16th, so I won't be available for the 11th or the 16th. I'll be on vacation. I'm sorry.
So the challenge there is, are you here for the first or the second?
I'll be here for the 11th, potentially.
Okay, that's fine.
I won't be here for the 11th or
That's
the
fine.
16th.
Then we'll figure it out.
Okay, just so y'all know.
I'll be here.
I'm here.
I'll be here.
Eric, anything?
No, just, like I mentioned earlier, will not be available September 16th.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Well, maybe
It's not like budget
I'll
times.
move my discussion maybe if everybody.
No, you can keep it then.
Well,
It's all
two
right.
of you all are gonna be
It's all right.
gone, right? Or both?
You can keep it that date. It's okay.
Will you be here at the next meeting, Debbie?
The 16th, no.
Yeah, you're gonna be gone, so we're
Yes,
only gonna
so
have three
two people are going to be gone.
All right, we'll pick
Yeah.
another date, all right.
A short meeting.
So, okay.
All right, we'll maybe pick another date.
Yeah,
Joe,
sorry.
No.
Two things I had. One is the tree issue, which we talked about, just coming up with how do we not put trees in the right of way. Library looks good. There is this single dumb-looking palm tree that's just sitting there. I'm not sure if that's part of the landscape architecture, but it's just lonely, looking on 27. And I would like to bring to council thoughts of what we can do with the CRA funding piece. This is not a $5 million project. I would like to, it kind of fits in, like do micro grants for people in Old Minneola. Businesses in Old Minneola. And it would take care of a lot of the little projects that we have, like the two big poles at U-Haul.
Yes.
Work with the guy, say, hey, do you want to get rid of these? We'll cover those. I think there's a sign at Little Anthony's that probably needs to come down. If there's anything that we need to do at Little Anthony's to clean it up. I know Carolina Masonry has got the back of their building backs up to the library.
Right.
It's not really pleasing looking, but can we work with them and put maybe a sign? We're not talking about building, $50,000, but these like $5,000 projects just to kind of clean up 27. If there's any other projects that we can do along the corridor for any businesses.
I think those
help clean it up.
sidewalks need to be repaired.
Yeah, just anything on 27 or anything in Old Minneola.
Old
That's
Minneola.
business related.
Perfect.
If you can just come up with I look at Mark and I know Christine's doing it. I know you're the, you should have like a curtain like the Wizard of Oz, because that's you. You just pull back the curtain and you're just like,
Oz.
just come up with a standard of these are the projects that we're working on. Do you, any problems with those?
No.
They're all CRA, they're all for improvement. I think 7-Eleven had a tree fall down, they cut it. But they could get the stump removed, so this, some other trees that have been cut down, like the ones at Cactus, where they just butchered those trees, if they want to take those trees down, we help with that. So I think it's things just to beautify 27 as we come down 27, or any of Old Minneola, Fat Joe's, if they want to do any of that cleanliness. And then it comes to the part of some of the businesses that are a larger business, and they would like to come with a grant for something, I don't know what, X, then we can help with that too, if they need their something. But anything on 27 is to start using the CRA funds for no big, huge projects, but just nice little projects that Eric doesn't have to put on his list.
Yeah.
And it's got to be driven by the by the business. We're not managing their project for them.
Right.
We just need this done, and that's it. So, okay. Any problems, concerns? And if you can figure out what the next steps are, that we can do that, reach out, or just outline a letter, or reach out to, if I've got to go knock on doors, I can knock on doors and say, hey, how about this? And get some
We
fun.
can't knock on doors. We have a variance.
If they have a sticker. They're not residential.
Oh
You
my
want to
God.
pave the Minneola Grill?
I was
I'm
thinking
not-
the same thing,
I'm
but
not
don't go that route.
I'm not opposed, but there's got to be on that, I think, and the question is paving Minneola Grill. I think that project needs help.
Well, we could
I-
loan them the money and
I'm
ask them
think-
to pay it back.
I'm thinking there's
Over a period of time.
opportunities that we could help with short-term, low-interest loans. But that would be a Scott question of how do
Yeah,
we
that's
assume
right.
that they don't sell it and we,
For the Minneola Grill, we haven't presented this idea to y'all yet, but there was an idea that they would remove the on-street parking on Washington. They would remove the billboard. They would provide utility easements on Washington and 27. And then in exchange for all of that, we would help cover some of the costs of repaving their
I
parking.
like that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I mean,
I
those
like
are the
that.
things that we need to think of, just things like that.
That's smart.
Yep,
Do we have
that's a
an
good one.
update if they're going to open up again? I thought they were going to open
They
up.
are
do
open.
up periodically.
Oh, they
Yeah.
do?
You have to check the website.
Yeah.
I was there Friday.
They're Monday through Friday now,
Yeah, it's Monday through Friday, yeah.
Okay,
until 2 o'clock.
okay, with that said, that's all I have. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Someone giving her back from Scott?
I haven't been in my office.
I feel you.
No, you don't.
I know, I'm not quite there yet.
No idea.
I know.
No idea. Nothing.
I have ideas.
Wait till those hips don't want to move.
See?
So now when I did speak, I forgot that.
Because you had, some attorney had to get here like, oh, we told them that we could work remotely, like, that's what.
But that's the thing with me, is that my position was approved to be remote.
But your compensation, but yeah, you were, you're still remote, and you can be remote.
To be remote, which is not going to be remote.
I am not bothering you.
Love that.
Don't you love it? I'm gonna walk Scott out.
Yeah, so when I heard.
I'll walk out.
Scott Henderson, and then there's another Scott. Scott something. Long story short, that position, that director position, they just put it up to follow policy, but they already promised an internal resource that position.
That would surprise me.
So,
But they just need to own it.
so I know, Scott Henderson said, hey, sorry, this is what it is.
Not have to worry about our coming and speeding on.
That's right, now it's been extended, so.